Happy Thursday. Happy to be back today with my guys, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton. Thanks for holding everything down for the last couple of days. A little update. Mom is in a rehabilitation facility now and getting better. She had some severe things going on for about a week in the hospital there, and then some other things going on. So I really appreciate you guys holding things down. Hopefully she is somewhat on the road to recovery, but can't thank you guys enough for helping me out the last week or two. And now it is time to get back to football as the Colts will be playing in Kansas City on Sunday. We got a lot of great college basketball to talk about. I did go down on Saturday. My wife and I did get away for a little while. We went down to Bloomington and saw Indiana against Wisconsin. Terrific atmosphere. Everybody's excited there. Great campus, as we all know, but just the excitement, you can feel it. It's palpable. People are really fired up. But I also know that after halftime, Kevin, you could probably back me up on this, you have a choice to make at halftime. Do I want to get more refreshments and food, or do I want to watch the third quarter? Because you're not getting back in less than 15 minutes. It's just not going to happen.
Concession issues?
The lines were long and slow. And look, when's the last time that stadium was just full to the brim week after week after week? This is probably a little bit new.
You're giving us an Ellie De La Cruz description there for a second before you.
But it was a great time.
Great to hear that Mom as well, first and foremost.
Yes.
That is certainly the most important part of it. I think we're all in unison here. Family comes first. So happy to pick up whatever was necessary there.
I did all the heavy lifting. Thank you.
Yeah. As I would have expected you to say. Yeah.
Per usual, I'm the one spotting James Boyd when
You see these guns,
when it comes to bench press. It was funny. When I thought about that stadium on Saturday, Indiana and Wisconsin, I don't think I've mentioned it yet this week. There was a joke, and I don't think it's a joke to be totally honest with you, but if you looked around the Indiana athletic department in previous years, and when they showed the big overhead shot of Memorial Stadium, they would have to wait when they played Ohio State or Wisconsin.
Right.
Because they needed the visiting fans to provide the extra red.
Right.
And on Saturday, as you can attest to, Indiana brought the red.
It was crimson and cream. That's what it was, man.
And again, if you would have told me, aerial shot November, 16th of Memorial Stadium 2025, you'd have shown me that 10 years ago. I'd be like, okay, how high is Wisconsin ranked? Are they ranked 4, 3? Are they playing for a trip to the Rose Bowl? And no, it's the Indiana Hoosiers that are playing for, a bye here in the playoffs. So, yes, sounded like quite the scene. And boy, talk about an ideal fall day to watch a game in Bloomington.
It was absolutely everything about the day, and it was a great experience, and I can't wait to go back again. And I think the thing that really stuck with me, not just that the stadium is completely full and the energy is there. I mean, there are people now at Indiana, they're not going to the game. Like, there were tailgates as far as you could see, and people were not getting into the game. They were just there. They set up their big screen TVs. They would have the barbecues going on and the meals and everything, and it was a lot of fun. But what struck me, James, was it was generational. It was grandparents and parents and little kids wearing candy stripes and grandma and grandpa wearing sweatshirts and mom and dad wearing hats and stuff like that. You can see that this generational thing is really taking root, and everything that's been shared through time is now kind of coming together, and everybody has something to cheer for. It's really cool to see, Kevin. It was fun.
I think at some point today we'll play this audio from Fernando Mendoza. He had some comments yesterday specifically about Curt Cignetti that I thought were pretty enlightening, and honestly goes to show their relationship, but also I think is a really positive sign for the future. In Bloomington as well. So maybe we can get to that a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff. And, of course, the Pacers get a win last night. James Boyd, they were in control of that game the entire second half and brought it home. How about that?
Yes, credit where credit is due. You were talking about, feeling good at the IU game, and anybody who attended last night's barn burner certainly enjoyed what took place at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And honestly, watching that game, I was thinking, how could you not beat the Charlotte Hornets forever? Like, they look god-awful. But shout out to the Pacers. And Jay Huff, the third quarter, Jay Huff went off. He was hooping.
He looked like Reggie Miller last night from three-point range.
Dunked on somebody?
Where'd that come from?
Fun.
Yeah, that combo, dunking on Kalkbrenner and then hitting the three, I think it was the next possession.
Yeah.
That might have been the highlight of the Pacers season. I say that in all seriousness so far this year. So, James, we said it a million times yesterday morning. It was a must-win on November 19th, and I don't think that's hyperbole. Look at the schedule. The next 3 games, I think it's 4, 1, and 3 in the Eastern Conference they play. They play 3 of the 4 best teams of the East. So, Charlotte, tons of rookies, tons of guys I've never even heard of. It was a must. And if you want to look, I think, a little bit deeper than just the win itself, the fact that you won that game, Siakam didn't have like an otherworldly game. It wasn't like Siakam had 35 and you all just, climbed on his
Well, I
back.
was asking for Mather to score 50. He didn't have that either.
No, but
But he is averaging 27 points a game this year.
there were some stretches yesterday, though, I thought, but James, you were spot on. He is going to have a 40-burger here pretty soon. And Andrew Nembhard has almost as many turnovers as assists. So, I bring all that up to say there's still room to grow.
Yes.
Yes, Jay Huff was huge. I thought Ben Shepherd was really key. And you got one of those McConnell nights as well.
Didn't
And
miss a
Towards the
shot.
end of the first half, he was just on fire.
yeah, I thought when Shepherd went back into that second unit, him and McConnell, just the energy that they bring. And Shepherd in the starting lineup, I can see why Rick Carlisle, made that move, whether it's LaMelo Ball last night, whether it's Donovan Mitchell perhaps tomorrow night, Cade Cunningham, if you do face him coming up with the Pistons, when you see them again on Monday, maybe you can alleviate a little bit on the plate of Nembhard and Mathurin by saying, all right, Ben, you're not typical starting 2-guard in the NBA from a scoring standpoint, but go take that, guard wing assignment there.
Well, it was a fun. When was the last time we said the Pacers were really fun to watch this year? That was fun to watch last night. I enjoyed every second of that.
And Jeremiah Johnson worked.
I did laugh about that. I started to tweet at you, Kevin, but I figured we could just save it for the show. That was your goal. Make Jeremiah Johnson work, and we got to see him in the suit often.
When Andrew Nembhard is your halftime interview and Ben Matherin's your end-of-game interview, you got to work.
I love it.
That's
is true.
That's like pulling teeth from those two. I was hoping Huffer would get an interview there.
Yeah, he deserved it. We could have picked the number of guys yesterday.
I like Matherin saying, hey, why can't we win 10 games in a row? Why not, James?
He's very confident, which I love. I was going to go somewhere else with that, but positive vibes here on this Thursday morning.
He's cocky as hell.
Here's the one thing I will say, though.
I love it, though. You need it.
And I think they're going to win their share of midweek home games against the Charlotte Hornets of the world and the teams that are in the second half of the league, because of the way they play. But I think they might have enough guys back now to stay at least competitive when you've got Matherin going for 27 points a night, and you've got TJ doing what he did, and everybody contributing. That's the formula for success. Can they do that every night? Probably not. But when you have Siakam doing his thing, Matherin going off a little bit, TJ McConnell and Jay Huff playing well, and Nembhard doing what he does. Because what was fun about last night is, yes, they shot the ball extremely well, and you're not going to get that every night. But on those nights when each of those guys plays their best basketball, they're still a pretty decent basketball team, Kevin. I don't think they're going to. Again,
yeah, I mean, let's not overreact.
No.
The Charlotte Hornets stink.
Against the lower half of the NBA, that group last night, if they play like that, which they can't every night, obviously, but there's a shot that they can win their share.
I mean,
games
Brooklyn
against those
ran them
teams.
out of their own building 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but they didn't have. Who was playing that night, though?
Well, I mean, Brooklyn lost Cam Thomas early in the game. I mean, right now, you look around the league, and the Pacers are hurt, obviously, capital H-U-R-T. A lot of teams are hurt. I mean, you got
It's an
Charlotte last
epidemic
night
this
without
year,
Brandon Miller.
Yeah.
I mean, Monday night, we talked about it, James. Detroit was missing 3 of their top 4 scorers.
Yeah.
They said 20 players across the NBA that are making $30 million or more are out.
Like, I want to be
This
clear.
is insane.
The Pacers are probably at the top of the hurt food chain, but there are a lot of teams pretty close to them. So that's where I look at this stretch and say, yeah, the Pacers should be more competitive. My bar is much higher than it was for whatever we saw the product the last 6 or 7 games. And look, you play who shows up on the schedule. Charlotte showed up last night. Good thing they did show up because they are god-awful. And you took care of business. And that
I
is
think
job
Charlotte
well,
should be relegated out of the league.
job well done. But Friday, Monday, Wednesday,
It's harsh.
again, Cleveland, Detroit, and Toronto is a different competition.
I know you love Charlotte. I've been there a few times myself. That franchise is god-awful at basketball.
It's been tough, man.
Are they
It's-
like
I
the
can't-
losingest franchise over the last 15,
They
20
have
years?
to be.
I don't think they've won a playoff
I mean, shout out Muggsy
series
Bogues.
in
Loved him
25
back in the
years.
day
It's
and
crazy.
learning about him. But,
Yeah.
ooh, Lord. Current Charlotte Hornets, terrible.
It's been rough. There's no question about that. But we will be talking about the Indiana Pacers, a lot of college basketball, and obviously Indiana Purdue. They're still a little bit of ways off. We've got all that. Some great games coming up this weekend in high school football. And, of course, the Colts back in action with one of the best records in the league on the road against the Kansas City Chiefs. Can they deliver the death knell to Kansas City for this year. That would be fun. We'll talk about all of it as we continue on a Thursday morning. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. the clutching of the little handle at the top. Good morning and welcome into a Thursday. It's the Fan Morning Show with James Boyd, Kevin Bowen. I'm Jeff Rickard, Mark Dykton on the other side of the. You're gonna have your own room in the new studios next month, my man.
Pants off. That's the policy.
There will be glass between us and Mark in the next studio. James, you okay with that?
I'm not. I don't want Mark to be put in like some cell. He's a part of the show.
Is there going to be
We
oxygen?
have to cut a hole in this. We got to get like a sliding window, like it's one of those walk up, in Chicago. Mark, you walk into like a little corner store, or whatever, get the little sliding window.
Yeah.
Put your money in there.
Like a
slide it back.
drive-through window.
Yeah, we need one of those.
I just hope there's oxygen in there.
I just wonder how long will it be before he just starts to ignore us, guys. That's what I worry about.
Oh,
Like I
no,
said-
he's always listening, as you know.
All right, let's get on to the business at hand. The Indiana Pacers get a win. They break an 8-game losing streak last night at the Fieldhouse. A 127-118 victory over the Charlotte Hornets. And Benedict Mathurin, who's averaging 27 points a game, Kevin Bowen, had 24 last night, 12 rebounds, including a couple of key ones down the stretch when Charlotte sort of kind of maybe was trying to get back in the game. Pascal Siakam had 22 points. Jay Huff had 20 points. And the Hornets have now a 4-game losing streak. They were led by their rookie, Con Kneppel, who looked pretty good with 28 points. But the Pacers will take a win where they can get him, only their second one of the year.
Yeah, Mathurin was outstanding as he has been really throughout the season, albeit just 4 games for him due to the injury. But yeah, just absolutely needed. The Pacers desperately needed. I thought the zone, kind of gave Charlotte a little bit of pause there, which was certainly a bit of a wrinkle. Rick Carlisle earlier this week, he was adamant about getting off to better starts, particularly the first quarter, and they did that. It was easily their best, certainly offensive start of the season there. And for the most part, they kind of held that double-digit lead throughout. And, as much as the Benedict Mathurin highlights will be scoring related, I thought the chase down block of Colin Sexton late in that game was very un-Mathurin-like and very needed. Charlotte had cut it to 8. That could have cut it to 6. Huge play by him. Led to a Nemhard layup, I think, at the other end. And that kind of iced the game.
Yeah, and Jay Huff, too, with the poster dunk, followed by an immediate 3 in the first half last night, James Boyd. Looked like the three-point shooter they wanted to get at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, Jay Huff was hooping. His best game easily as a Pacer, scored 20 points, I believe. So that was exciting to see. And you saw a lot of those bench reactions you've come to love over the years with Tyrese grabbing somebody else grabbing somebody, and they're all yelling like they're college kids. Kind of like a college reaction on the sidelines. So that was fun.
Yeah. Also in the NBA last night, Houston Rockets beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 114-104 in Cleveland. I bring that up because Friday night, Kevin Bowen, it'll be a rematch of semifinals playoffs last year in the Eastern Conference against Cleveland, although the players on the court will be anything but a rematch on Friday night.
Thomas Bryant is a Cav, is he not?
Yeah.
I need a Thomas Bryant tribute video
James Boyd,
for Game 6 against the Knicks. That alone deserves a video.
That's your boy. When Cleveland comes here this year, yes, that needs to happen.
Oh, sorry,
there.
this is in Cleveland.
Darius
Thought it was at
Garland,
home.
Max Strus, both out. So again, Cleveland pretty banged up. But yeah, Donovan Mitchell assignment. I assume Ben Shepherd. We'll see if Benedict Mathurin gets any action there. But you would think Cleveland would have a little revenge on their minds. Granted, the personnel very
There
different.
it is. Monday, December 1st, Cleveland comes to Indianapolis. I need the Thomas Bryant tribute video.
Longer than the Miles Turner tribute video.
You won't get booed, I can tell you that.
2 other notes in the NBA last night. Jalen Brunson returned from injury for the Knicks and led them to a road win over the Dallas Mavericks, 113-111. He scored 28. And I say this shaking my head in amazement. Yes, the Nuggets beat a very bad Pelicans team, 125-118 last night. But it's every night now, James. Jokic has 28 points, 11 rebounds, 12 assists. It's just every night now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a 3-person race for who's the best player in the world, him, Giannis, or SGA. And take your pick, take your flavor on any given day. Those guys are special.
All right, college basketball last night. A couple of games to tell you about. Kevin, Notre Dame over Bellarmine, 86-79 last night. The Fighting Irish, pretty good basketball team too.
Gosh, I hope you're right. Yeah, they're up 22 at one point and then kind of wilted there late. But Jalen Harrison made some timely plays for them, and they now head to Vegas for this new in-season tournament that has seemingly taken over the non-conference schedule there. Purdue tonight, they got Memphis down in the Bahamas. Memphis has not been very good at all, really, to start this season. Purdue's a notable favorite, 13, 14 points, I think, in this one. It's a 6 o'clock. So 6 o'clock for Purdue tonight, 6 o'clock for Indiana. Indiana has Lindenwood. Jeff, we did this game yesterday. You have any idea where Lindenwood is?
Lindenwood, New Jersey. No?
Boy, James said yesterday it sounded like a Chicago suburb. When you said Lindenwood, New Jersey, you would have had me convinced yesterday.
I don't know. I honestly don't know, but it sounds like Lindenwood and New Jersey have been uttered in the same
Mark Dykton?
sentence before.
We did this yesterday, did we not?
Yes, Lindenwood is where?
Missouri.
Missouri. St. Louis, Indiana
have
is
gotten
a
that.
34.5-point favorite over Lindenwood. So they might be in St. Louis, but they don't know how to play basketball.
You will be able to hear that basketball game on WIBC 93.1 beginning at 5:30 this evening over there. The tip at 6 o'clock. Anything else you want to talk about college basketball before we talk about some of the other national stories and the Colts that are going on right now? Anything else?
I thought last night for Purdue, if you missed it, Alabama beat Illinois at the United Center. That's good for your resume. And I flipped back and forth to Arizona-UConn there for a little bit. That was a great
Arizona won that game,
non-conference game. Yeah, Arizona won at UConn. Now, remember, Braylon Mullins still is out for UConn. They've got another injury there. But, boy, I love watching Dan Hurley just act like a psychotic animal on the sidelines.
He was funny after the game, too.
I love it.
They asked him about the loss, and he's like, I'm going to wake up at 2 a.m. and think that this didn't happen, and I'm going to have a nightmare, and I'm going to be going through the fog, and I'm going to realize this actually happened, and it stinks. It sucks. I'm like, what is going on?
He's like a funnier hate watch. Like, Brian Kelly's just a pure hate watch for me.
Okay.
Dan Hurley is like a hate watch that I laugh at.
Yeah, it's
Like,
comedic.
It's a cartoon.
Yeah, I enjoy. I remember when he was flirting with the Lakers a few years ago. I go, do not leave. College basketball needs you.
Yes.
They need cartoon characters like him, and he is exactly that.
Yeah, I think that fits college sports, too. You can't do that in the NBA and get away with it.
Can you imagine him
No.
on the NBA sideline doing that?
LeBron James, Luka Doncic looking at him like, hey, man, relax.
82 nights out of the year, Dan Hurley's acted like that.
All right, in the National Football League, the Colts return to the field after a bye week. They'll be in Kansas City on Sunday to take on the 5-5 Kansas City Chiefs. And James Boyd, truly an opportunity to really put the Chiefs in a big old, don't know if they can get out of it whole on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, we were talking to Nate Taylor, Chiefs reporter for ESPN yesterday here on the show, and he was telling us, hey, this is kind of do or die for the Chiefs to get on track this year. They have never lost 3 games in a row in the Patrick Mahomes era. Will that happen Sunday? And if it does, that could really put their playoff hopes on dire terms.
As far as the injuries are concerned for the Colts coming out of the bye, what does it look like, Kevin Bowen?
Yeah, Javarius Ward, a full participant in a blue jersey, so not in the non-contact red jersey, so a great sign there. The Colts did get Jalen Carlisle back to practice yesterday. I don't know if necessarily that's a Sunday thing for him and exactly where he fits into the linebacker rotation.
He was full, too, though.
Yeah, he was full, but he's been out for like 2 months, so that's why
That's true.
I bring that
Fair.
up. Jermaine Pratt is a rival in Lou Anarumo's history. I don't know where Carlisle could fit, but maybe at some point he's a different skill set at linebacker. We'll see if they turn to him. So, as expected, the Colts pretty healthy coming out of their bye week. Of course, DeForest Buckner still on injury reserve, but I believe every Colt practice yesterday, besides Tyquan Lewis, Kenny Moore is typical rest day on these Wednesdays.
All right. Meanwhile, down in Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, a full participant in practice for the Bengals yesterday. Don't know that he's going to play on Sunday, but at least he's getting closer and closer to return. And who knows, in the AFC North, it might only take a 9-8 record to win that division. Might even 8-9 might get it done the way things are going.
Boy, if you think about it, though, who do they have upcoming Sunday? Is it New England?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so, if Joe Burrow's available to play, which we don't know just yet, he's going to have to do it without Jamar Chase. So that is a big,
One
big
game
loss
suspension
there.
for spitting on a guy.
Not ideal. And then again, as I said yesterday or earlier this week on the show, anybody's like, we can't judge this man off this one act. Yes, we can. Oh, yes, we can. I don't care.
We endorse Mike Tomlin's comments.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The next 4 games for the Bengals, by the way, Patriots, at Ravens, at Bills, Ravens.
Oh, boy.
Boy, that's a gauntlet.
tough. Yeah. Hey, one quick thing. I'll have you comment on it too, Kevin. Alex Pillow, the face on the Bourne Warner Trophy, debuted yesterday for the
So do
most
they
recent
just
Indy 500 winner.
Repeat last year if you have like a 2-time winner like that. I was always curious about Joseph Newgarden with that. Pillow obviously is different, but like I was
ask Jake that question.
I was looking at like if you've won multiple times, do they
Is there like a different
have
expression
you
you get
aged
or something?
pre We Grow Hair Indy, post We Grow Hair Indy, Kevin Bowen? Pillow courtside last night at the game.
He loves going to the Pacers. He's got his own. I saw him. I was in the elevator with him on the last Colts home game. He's got his very own Colts polo jersey.
Yeah, he
going
did
on
bang
there.
the anvil. Now that I think about it, that might have been the hell. It seems like James. It seemed like 3 months since the Colts last played at home.
It does seem like that. I'm like, do I remember where I park?
Tonight, or maybe today at lunch, if you are a true Colt fan, you'll bring out your folding table and you'll jump on it during your lunch break. You're cheering for the Mafia tonight.
Oh, yeah. To take out the Texans.
Bills Mafia.
Chauncey
Davis
Billups
Mills, by the way,
reference for a
Davis
second.
Mills will be starting at quarterback again. Still
Houston
no C.J. Stroud.
Texans. C.J. Stroud did return to practice, though, this week in concussion protocol, so expectation is he will play against the Colts next Sunday. But yes, tonight it is Bills at Texans, Thursday Night Football, and you want the Bills.
All right. Anything else before we head on to break?
No, when he said you got to cheer for the Mafia, I thought Kevin was making a Chauncey Billups reference, and I was like,
Yep.
these glasses don't have any cameras in them.
That's why Mark's going
Wink,
behind,
wink.
behind the screen.
Uh-huh.
All right. We'll talk a little bit more about the state of the Colts in the AFC South and the AFC in general as we continue in a moment. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hope your Thursday's off to a great start, or maybe you're just coming home from the graveyard shift. Hope you had a great shift and you're going to get some sleep. Whatever it happens to be, thanks for tuning in to us, however you may be listening right now, whether it's 93.5, 107.5 on the FM dial. You can also check us out at 93.1 and HD1, which is where I listen to it because it's got just a powerful, great signal all over the place. You can download the app at 107.5 The Fan. You can go to 1075thefan.com. Not only listen to us live online, but read all the great stuff that Kevin Bowen writes about the Colts every day, too. And you had quite the rundown. This morning I was reading your stuff from this past week, including all the guys that are back from practice, what's going on, how things have been going. And I also was checking out NFL.com this morning, guys, and I saw that the power rankings still have the Indianapolis Colts at NFL.com as the second best team in the NFL right now. They write, the bye week allowed the Colts to recharge a bit after the loss to the Steelers and the close shave win over the Falcons overseas, but they must hit the ground running this week with a game against the desperate Chiefs at Arrowhead. There's some mystery over the health status of two of their more important defenders, DeForest Buckner and Shavarius Ward, so the picture is muddled a bit. There are also offensive concerns over the play of Daniel Jones the past few weeks as the quarterback has cooled off noticeably after a blistering start. But the Colts still have Jonathan Taylor and a beefy offensive line to fall back on, and it doesn't feel right now like this Indy team will suddenly implode. I would probably have to second all of those thoughts and feelings right now on NFL.com. Where are you at there?
You think beefy? You think offensive line would take that as a compliment?
I don't think offensive line worry about how they get described, do they? Do they worry about
Braden Smith right now eating 7 pancakes and 7 over easy eggs and
beefy's fair probably for that.
Massive plate of fruit, I believe is how Tanner Bortolini described it. I feel like nationally it's kind of been a mixed bag this week in what I've read about, just kind of how people view the Colts coming out of the bye week. And, obviously the Chiefs are going to carry more of the conversation in this matchup considering, as Nate Taylor alluded to us on the show yesterday, James, this is probably the most DEFCON they've had in the Mahomes era, right up there with any other time. You pointed out earlier in the show this would be the first time in Mahomes' history that he has lost 3 straight regular season games, if indeed the Colts beat them on Sunday. So I think just how the Colts respond, I'm very curious about it. But, again, as much as this one would, I think, be a win that a lot of people would talk about, and it might be one of the wins of, I guess, recent Colts memory. If you really want to speak truth, the bigger game is next Sunday against Houston. The bigger game is the Sunday after that against Jacksonville, just based off how the division is right now. Very rare to see AFC South look like this on November 20th. You have 3 of the 4 teams sitting at 500 or better, which is wild.
Do you think this is a must-win, though, from the Colts' perspective, if you're trying to get that number 1 seed? Because you look at the Patriots, rest of their schedule. Denver,
the Patriots have a bunch of Hornets on there. That's the Charlotte Hornets.
Exactly.
The rest
so
of the way
I'm
for
like,
the Patriots.
I don't want to put too much weight on this game, and if they win or lose, it's not going to decide the season. But when it comes down to the margins, this is one you might want to look back on. And be like, man,
that is fair. You have the head against Denver.
That
so
helps.
That's
that
in
helps.
your back pocket. The New England tiebreaker would go to conference record. Obviously, if you lost Sunday, that would knock you down in the conference a little bit. The Colts right now are the only team in the AFC to have just 1 conference loss, which is important when you look at tiebreakers. So, yeah, that is fair. Clark points this out here on the text line. And, Jeff, this was a conversation you had last week. We got in this debate about Denver and Kansas City. Who would you rather have win the game? You were big on nail in the coffin on Kansas City. Do you view that tonight at all? Do you put Buffalo in the Kansas City combo? That if Houston wins, it puts Buffalo now kind of on the brink of a playoff berth? Or do you say, oh boy, that is a hair greedy because if Houston wins tonight, Colts lose Sunday, next week, if all of a sudden Houston beats Indy, they're a game back.
Yeah, it's gotten considerably more
Are you going to get that greedy? Because last week you were greedy.
I was.
Are you?
I don't know if I'm ready if they lose tonight to Houston to bury the Bills yet, but they got issues, man. They don't have a stud wide receiver for Josh Allen, and Keon Coleman's in the doghouse with them all the time. Their defense is not what it's been the last couple of years, and Josh Allen has kind of reverted to turning the ball over a little bit more. And the more I see some of these other teams play, because they're newer to the scene. You're kind of not sure what's going to happen with New England, although their schedule is easier down the stretch. Feel pretty good about that. You still kind of keep waiting for the Ravens to pull out of the funk that they've been in, but they haven't seemed to be able to do that. It's hard to say right now that aside from New England, that the Colts aren't just the best team in the AFC. And I think the Bills do start to run the risk of getting on the bubble or out of it if they lose to Houston tonight. And Houston's just going to get healthier and healthier.
So who are you cheering for?
I'm
Bills
cheering,
or Texans?
I want the Bills. I want as much cushion over AFC South opponents as possible because nobody else really scares me right now in the AFC. I think the
Denver's
Colts can go.
defense?
Their defense, how many points did the Colts score against them in the second week of the season?
Fair.
Patrick Surtain is not playing right now. I don't know what his situation is going to be
I believe
as the
he's
season goes along.
expected to return at some
he is
point.
expected to come back. My biggest fear for if they play the Broncos in the postseason right now, James, would be the pass rush. Based on what we've seen the last couple of weeks, that Denver pass rush is nasty, and Colts haven't been that great against the pass rush in the last couple of weeks. So here we are in the middle of the season right now. I like the Colts against anybody. I think they can play clearly with anybody. But, yeah, I'd like to get rid of Kansas City once and for all, and I would probably like to see, as much as I'd like to see the Bills eliminated, I still want as much distance between me and anybody else in the AFC South as possible because I think you possibly, if the Texans lose tonight, they start to run the risk of being out of it now as Jacksonville starts to come on. What do we think there? I don't know. I can't figure Jacksonville out either. One week they look good, the next week they don't look so good. So I think that it'll all take care of. I guess the long-winded way of saying this is I don't think either team tonight is necessarily done with a loss tonight, but I think the Colts can play with anybody right now in the AFC.
James, one thing that hit me at Colts practice yesterday is, just with where we stand at Colts practice, typically, especially on Wednesdays, the defensive backs are the position group closest to us. And I'm watching that group operate. And, Kenny Moore II, was watching yesterday just in a sweatshirt out there. He's taking this Wednesday off with the Achilles injury for the last month or so. Obviously, the expectation is he will play on Sunday. So you're watching Sauce Gardner go through drills. You're watching Travaris Ward go through drills. Again, Kenny. And then you see Cam Bynum and Nick Cross. I've covered the Colts since 2010. The 5-man defensive back group they'll run out there Sunday. It's never looked like this.
I wrote this.
Never. I mean, yes, Vontae Davis, great player. Stephon Gilmore, great player. Xavier Rhodes had a really nice year. They've had, I think, some really productive safety seasons at times, but the 5-man, the 1 to 5-man grouping, I mean, Ward and Gardner and Kenny, they've got the all-pro, Pro Bowls on their resumes. I'd argue the safety position's been one of the better ones for the Colts this season, and what Nick Cross and Cam Bynum have given you. I don't think it's hyperbole. I don't think it's, prisoner of the moment. I don't think I've seen a defensive back group on paper look like what the Colts will run out there Sunday, and fittingly, the first time they run it out there is against the greatest quarterback of our lifetime.
Lifetime?
Probably all time.
Like, you've been alive for a long time, man. You saw some great quarterbacks, but I agree.
I just wasn't prepared for who's the greatest quarterback in NFL history at 7:43.
Well, I mean, in this town, I'm like, hey, Manning wasn't too shabby, but I do think.
Have you seen Mahomes' career?
I have, But
Seen Tom Brady's career?
I was gonna say, look, I live in a market.
I'm gonna take that.
Two teams, 7 Super Bowls.
Gosh.
I'm gonna take that dude in Kansas City there.
Well, I'm gonna stick with the Manning family because I like living in Indianapolis and being liked in Indianapolis. But on a more serious note, yes, I agree, and I wrote this in one of my stories earlier this week. And I was looking at cornerbacks. This might be the most talented cornerback trio they've ever put out there in the history of the franchise. And I would have to go back and look at the real old days pre-Indianapolis Colts to kind of verify that. But over the last 20 years, this is a very talented group, especially resume-wise. And if you look at it, I'm like, Sauce Gardner at one point was the highest-paid cornerback, and then Kenny a couple years ago was the highest-paid slot corner, and Javarius Ward just got paid a ton of money, and they've all proven themselves in this league. So I think from that aspect, very talented. And then the back end, like you said, Cam Bynum, he's a star to me, but he's never made a Pro Bowl. And I think that could change this year. He's got 2 interceptions, I think, forced fumble recovery, a couple of sacks in there as well. He's playing great football. And then Nick Cross, who struggled early on to kind of find his footing in the NFL, has proven to be, I think, not just a starter, but an impact player, especially at that strong safety spot. So for a group that will have to be stingy against Patrick Mahomes, you want those guys out there versus what you had in years past. I mean, this is quite the upgrade. We're talking about Christmas time coming up. Gus Bradley never had these types of gifts at his disposal. Granted, the defense was different, schemes were different, but talent helps a whole lot of the way, and they have a lot of it on the back end.
Let's talk about the other side. We mentioned the pass rush that has been really tough on the Colts the last couple of weeks, despite the overtime win against Atlanta. The Chiefs, we know that Steve Spagnuolo, Kevin, he's a blitzing mastermind, and he loves to bring pressure. They've got Chris Jones, who's just a beast on the inside. They've got a couple of decent edge rushers. How worried are you right now that the pass rush is going to be a problem for the Colts to defend on Sunday?
One last note before we fully transition. I looked to this DB situation, James. When they beat the Chiefs a couple years ago in Week 3, they started Brandon Faison at corner in that game. It got brought up in the
What
media.
a name. Yeah.
It got brought up in the media room yesterday when the Colts played the Chiefs in the playoffs, whatever that was, 6-7 years ago at this
2019, I believe.
point. J.J. Wilcox started at safety. These are your what's the game called that you do the 3 boxes? I
forget what it's called.
3x3.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You pick players that have played for those teams. Mark Dykton, you ever delve in that?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. I don't know what it's called, though.
Whatever the hell it's called, those players belong in those boxes.
I will tell you this. I would have never thought of either one of those guys probably ever again had you not just brought them up.
Well, next time you play that game, you can think of it. I think it's a great point, Jeff, that you make because, so much of, hey, Lou Anarumo's been this mastermind against Patrick Mahomes. Okay, let's look at these games. The Chiefs still scored 24, 24, and 31 points in those 3 wins that Cincinnati had over Kansas City. I bring that up to say you're going to have to score on Sunday. And yes, Daniel Jones against, we talk about Steve Spagnuolo in a very, very high regard, and his blitzing acumen and his blitzing, history is, I think, pretty well documented for NFL fans out there. So yes, I think it's a little different from Atlanta and Pittsburgh in that I thought Atlanta and Pittsburgh just had some individual dudes. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Kansas City's got the dudes necessarily defensively to wreak that havoc, but they have a coordinator that's very willing to bring pressure all day long, to quote, remember the Titans. So, I would expect that to be something that's happening a whole lot.
You know what the Colts also have that nobody else in the league really has right now, maybe Philadelphia, but not quite, is Jonathan Taylor. I mean, his ability this year to just with
the
help,
immaculate grid. Thank you, Lara Overton.
Thank you. Yes, and Lara's terrific, but the ability to once he gets to that second level, turn it on and go. Great job by the offensive line and the receivers, and Tyler Warren has been terrific as well. But they know if they could just get him 6 yards downfield, look out, James.
Yeah, he is pound for pound, position for position, the best player in football right now. So I'm sure he will be atop the scouting report for this Colts team and for that Chiefs defense. It should be a great atmosphere because this is a game that was always going to have some stakes to it, depending on how things shook out throughout the season. But just considering where both teams are at, what they're competing for, you got one team in the Colts, like I said, trying to hang on to or stay in contention for the number 1 seed in the AFC. And then you have the Chiefs. Yes, the Chiefs, the 3-time defending AFC champion Chiefs, basically playing for their playoff lives right now. And it is, mid to late November.
Curious if the Colts are able to jump on them at all early, what that crowd sounds like.
Think they boo him?
I don't know, man. I think it's possible.
Booing Mahomes would be crazy.
I know, but damn,
fans are crazy, which
fans
I
are
love.
fans. We got a bunch of Dan Hurleys in the crowd. I mean, that's what fans are, which I love it, man. Fandom is fandom. So I think if you are the Colts, it's your job to try and create that potential atmosphere. Just see what happens if you're able to jump on them early. And again, that's why I thought the Pittsburgh game turned so much in that TJ Watt play. Pittsburgh, and I don't want to act like Pittsburgh is necessarily in the stratosphere of Kansas City, but they were reeling a bit going into that matchup. And when you're on your way,
a lot of talk about the coach at the time.
When you're on your way,
still probably
walking into a potential 2-score lead early in that contest, I think if you go up 2 scores, that game could have looked a whole lot different. So yeah, just something to keep an eye on for the old 12 o'clock local start time for Colts and Chiefs coming up.
Kevin
Sunday.
wants Chiefs Kingdom chanting, "We want Gardner, bring him out."
oh, Lord.
Brody Croyle.
I was like, man, what kind of Twilight Zone will we really be in at that point?
So next year is Anthony Richardson the backup for Mahomes?
They'd be
That's the way
backup
it's been
for
going.
somebody. Yeah.
Carson Wentz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then Gardner Minshew?
Yep.
Just a little pipeline going over there. All right. Also last night, the Pacers coming up with a win. They're second of the season. They snap an 8-game losing streak. They beat the Pacers, or the Pacers beat the Hornets 127-118. Time now for the Pacers playback, presented by C&J Water, the official water treatment partner of the Indiana Pacers, cnjwater.com. Yes, Pascal Siakam doing his normal thing last night. He was terrific. 22 points on 9 of 17 shooting. Andrew Nembhard had 16 points last night, 7 assists as he's continuing to adjust to his point guard role. But we got to talk about Benedict Mathurin, who's averaging 27 points a game this season. He had 24 last night on 7 of 13 shooting. Also had 12 rebounds, James. He's got so much talent, and if nothing else, maybe this year, because it demands it from him, maybe he really starts to step into that talent full-time here in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, they're asking him to do what he's born to do, which is score. Coming into the year, it was all about, can he pass? Can he distribute the ball? Can he play fast? Make quick decisions? And now it's like, can you quickly score to help us out of a jam? And I thought that he was his typical aggressive self. And the thing that stands out to me about Mathurin's game, it's always kind of been like this, Kevin, is the efficiency in which he scores. He's not really a shot chucker or a high-volume shooter. He's often, when he gets over 20 points, it's because he's been in the line 6 or 7 times, and I think the 3 ball has been a lot better this year. He's shooting it great from distance. He was 8 of 9 on free throws last night. That's just – he has an innate ability to get fouled and make you look kind of silly trying to guard him one-on-one. And then to Jeff's point, 12 rebounds, that's just icing on the cake. That's being a dog. And he had 3 offensive rebounds. It gives you extra possessions, extra shots. So I think Mathurin is fine. We can talk about, should he be brought back? Should they extend him? I'm probably in the camp of, we need that guy for the future. Make sure he doesn't leave here. But I think that conversation becomes easier as you see more and more games like this.
Well, and I think something, too, that's a little bit more, not necessarily showing up in a box score, but he's just got innate ability, I think, to thrive when you ask him to do more. And not everybody has that. We have seen this year already, the Pacers have had to ask guys to do more. And more often than not, what's happened? They've wilted. And let's go back to Game 7 of the finals, guys. Tyrese Halliburton rips his Achilles 7 minutes into the game. What does Benedict Mathurin do? He gives you 24 and 13 off the bench in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. When your star player tears Achilles. Guys are not wired to come off the bench and deliver on the biggest stage the sport has to offer like that. And Mathurin did that. And, the fourth quarter, I don't think it ever got real interesting, but he kind of kept you in that, oh boy, one more bucket here. And all of a sudden, Dagnall's taking a timeout. And so to me, that's the very special trait that Mathurin possesses, is that when you throw him into these environments, and again, Rick had a laugh last night at the question when he was asked about Ben Mathurin's confidence. James, you kind of chuckled at it earlier in the show. He's cocky as hell. And I get that.
I think you need a guy like that, though. You need a guy like that on your team.
I want a guy with a little swag.
It can frustrate people at times, but the edge can be healthy. And I think it is a healthy and necessary edge. And again, at times, you want to dial up We Grow Hair Indy, and it'll make you pull your hair out a little bit. But I'd rather have to rein that in than have to coach that up.
You are getting so good at smoothly sliding those guys in. You're getting good at that. The We Grow Hair Indie guys.
Well, they did a lot of great work for me.
I like it. He's getting.
And you cover it up with a hat every
I
morning.
know,
Show
every
us
morning.
the lettuce.
You got this gray head of
Show
hair
us the
now.
fresh
we never
lettuce.
Get to see it.
I don't have time to shower. By the way, I do have a Chat GBT question, Mark.
Oh.
Later.
You went down the pipeline?
Yeah, maybe save that for there.
This can go 1,000
Jeff, are you a
ways.
Chat GBTer?
Oh, I have fun with it, but I don't know that I trust it.
That's a good answer.
Boy, it sounds like a dangerous girl to talk to in college.
I mean, it's like Wikipedia. It's a good place to kind of start and get a head start on something, but it's not,
I will love Wikipedia to the end of time. All my
But you
teachers-
can't trust it, though.
Yes, you can. It was great for me.
James Boyd's reading material, the Bible, the Beast, and Wikipedia. Sometimes the order could be reversed,
There you
right?
go.
Well, if it said it on Wikipedia, it must be true, right, James?
But I do have a chat GBT question. Maybe we can save that for the other side. Jeff, we got into that yesterday. Mark was being a child yesterday with all these Kevin Bowen AI pictures.
I didn't do it. The
delivered.
listener started, and I was like, let me see what I can do here.
You and Jeremiah just children out.
Talking about.
I didn't do it. The listener started it. Then I said I wanted to do more.
I'll try one. I wanted to show him what he
I'll
could
share
do.
my story when we get back into that a little bit later on, because I do have a, having it make up images story to share with you guys. But anyway, the Pacers playback again presented by C&J Water, the official water treatment partner of the Indiana Pacers, cnjwater.com. We take another look at the Colts and what's at stake coming up this week, and also the rest of the AFC and the NFL as we continue next, along with your comments on the fan text line at 239-1070. Next, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Happy Thursday morning. Colts back in action on Sunday against Kansas City in Arrowhead. And like this, our good buddy Aaron from Minnesota texting in this morning, as he always does. And he says, Kevin, Jonathan Taylor needs to go Marlon Mack plus this week against the Chiefs. We forget Marlon Mack had the game of his life against Kansas City a few years ago.
Yeah, Sunday Night Football win. Marlon Mack ran for about 130. The Colts had the ball for more than 15 minutes in Kansas City at Arrowhead. Jacoby Brissett under center. That was a throwback. Certainly one of the best wins of the Frank Reich era, bar none there. So, yeah, that is a throwback. Again, Patrick Mahomes 0-2 in his regular season history against the Colts. James Boyd, can I put my investigative hat on?
Feel free, Detective Bowen.
I can't wait
for
for
this.
today.
Not to get too personal here.
But
James, what were you doing last night around, I don't know, 7:15 p.m.?
I think I might have been talking to my sister or somebody and watching. Was Pacers on? I think Pacers were just coming on.
Interesting.
why? What's going on?
Well, I saw this picture making the rounds last night on social media. And, James wears a lot of hats. James is easily one of the hardest working individuals that I have come
What was I
across
doing?
in our industry here. So I always admire his passion, his dedication, his work ethic. I think it's tremendous. So I see this picture flash up here of a shot of the Pacers Jumbotron last night at the game, and they had up here
Oh.
game notes.
Now he
Yeah.
knows what you're talking about
Yeah.
here.
I
Off
do know.
to the side, and I was looking for it to say signed by the King of Petty, but I don't see that here. The graphic last night flashed up on the Jumbotron, and I don't know if this is AI or not. Mark Dykton, you're going to have to help me out on this. But the graphic noted Isaiah Jackson. Isaiah notched his third double-double of the season with 16 points and 10 rebounds against Detroit. Okay, that's the top of the graphic. Underneath it, Miles Turner has yet to notch his first double-double of the season with Milwaukee.
You want to know if James is responsible for that?
That is one of the pettiest, greatest things I have seen flash up on a Jumbotron in the history of Jumbotrons.
So I saw this on social
is this
media.
real or was this AI?
I believe it is real because one of the fans, I want to say, put that out there actually, and said they were there at the game, took the photo. I thought that was hilarious. But the only pushback that I saw, which I also thought was hilarious, was how dare you try to flex double doubles when you can't get wins? And so it's just like, look, you got to find joy in something. So I'm all for it. But it is kind of funny to be like, hey, by the way, we got this double-double more than you. And it's like, well, one team is in the playoff picture and one team is looking at lottery balls right now.
That
like
was
that.
unbelievable when I saw that. I
loved it, though.
I love the
I
fact
had to
that
rub
your
my
first
eyes.
thought
I'm like-
is Kevin. Is that your first thought, Kevin, is that's got to be James.
I thought James might have gotten into the back rooms of Cambridge Fieldhouse.
It's so random, which makes it better.
So random. And like the Pacers and the Colts are
You lost to the Bucks. You didn't even win against them this year.
The Pacers and the Colts, for those that are like into the social media of teams out there, like social accounts, the Colts and the Pacers are like the least controversial of any teams out there. They like hardly engage into like good pettiness back and forth. When they do, I find it very funny, and I think it's hilarious. And I frankly don't care at all that
The
they
Colts
put
had
that
a
up
good
there.
one after the Chargers win.
I was
and
going to say
put
they
out
had one earlier this year, and I kind of forgot what it was.
It was the Minion picture where they were like looking over all the minions. 'Cause
Yeah,
the Chargers had on their
yeah.
yellow uniforms that game. I gave the Colts admin some dap for that.
Looking over the kingdom,
like
if you
that.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very good. So I just want to see where James was last night because I thought that was peak pettiness by whoever did that.
No, that was funny.
Interesting
Pacers.
alibi, too. Oh, I was talking to my sister on the phone. Everybody says that when they're cornered, right?
You'd have known
Yeah,
if
I've
it was,
used that lie many times.
You would have known if it was James too, because the next one would have been Kalani. Will you marry me?
Yeah, exactly. I would have, just thrown on a couple of
One of those
folded the
in-game
song.
ring proposals
Yeah.
is what you're saying, Mark?
Yes. You put her on the spot. That way she can't deny you unless she wants to really break your heart for everybody.
You'd have come down from the rafters with Boomer
might.
and gotten down on one knee.
By the way, Isaiah Jackson getting into quick foul trouble last night might have been the best thing for the Pacers because there was a ton of early foul trouble for the centers, but it allowed Jay Huff to get a little bit more run. And I don't want to speak too much to this, but that third quarter, they started Huff out of the third quarter. And that lineup with Huff playing at the highest level we've seen him play, it gives you a little bit of last year vibes. Want to stress little, but the fact that Jay Huff's skill set is so vastly different than Isaiah Jackson and Tony Bradley. I mean, Isaiah Jackson and Tony Bradley aren't shooting it outside of 5 feet. Jay Huff can stretch it a little bit there, and when he's knocking it down, and I loved his energy too. I thought his emotion was awesome after the Kalkbrenner dunk.
It was all fun to watch last night, especially when you get a win, which doesn't happen all that often these days. Pacers.
I always want to dunk on somebody.
118. Did you ever dunk on the 8-foot goal, messing around in the schoolyard or anything like that?
Yeah,
just so you know how it feels.
I want to throw on a real dunk though.
How close did you ever get?
I got pretty close back rim, but those are back when I had young legs.
Furphy dudes out there.
I mean, does he not have some of the best posters in the NBA? We need Furphy back. How's the ankle doing?
I know. I feel like he's in street clothes every game.
We need lots of guys back.
That is true.
It's Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd. I'm Jeff Rickard. Mark Dykton on the ones and twos as always today. Got this one in on the fan text line as well, 239-1070. Question for you guys from Kyle. Not to be a conspiracy theorist, but I find it hard to believe the NFL lets the Colts win this game. The Mahomes record versus the Colts never had 3 losses in a row. It all just seems ripe for an uncharacteristic game for the Colts come Monday morning when we talk about it. Talk me out of my pessimism. Kyle, I'll speak first. I'd be more worried about how well they defend the quarterback and Daniel Jones taking better care of the football than he has the past 2-3 games. Kevin,
Kyle,
that's what I would worry about.
Listen up. This right here is loser talk. We can't have it on these airwaves, okay? You've seen these Colts. They're 8-2. They got the best player in football in Jonathan Taylor, one of the best quarterbacks in Daniel Jones, a play caller who has been cooking this season with Shane Steichen. Conspiracy theories don't hold up against teams that good. The Chiefs are going down.
Patrick Mahomes remains winless,
I need
Kevin,
like organs to be
against the
played
Chiefs.
behind that.
I mean, against the Colts. He remained. People start booing.
Aren't the Chiefs having penalty issues this year?
They're having all kinds of issues.
Does that go against NFL conspiracy theory or no?
Well,
what do you think the general percentage of fans out there that think if the Chiefs win on Sunday, it's because of an NFL conspiracy theory?
Well, didn't the referees miss a key tush-push offsides on the Eagles against the Chiefs?
I don't know. When was this? When did they play?
Was it maybe I'm conflating a couple of games there.
Point being, I feel like you can just what was the term in school? The Venn diagram. If you have a Venn diagram of people who bet on this game and people think it's a conspiracy on the game, the center will be very much aligned. I feel like that's always like people who lose money on the game are like, this is they called in this, they hit the button at Buffalo Wild Wings and ruined this for me.
Very true.
So I can't give it. Kyle, have faith, my brother.
One thing to note about the Chiefs.
I am conflating. I'm thinking of the Chiefs and the Bills when they got called for being offside.
$250,000 question here. One thing to note Chiefs-wise from an injury standpoint, Xavier Worthy, one of their speedy wideouts, he did not practice yesterday due to an ankle issue, something to keep an eye on. Isaiah Pacheco did practice. I bring that up. He is their running back, their starting running back when everyone's healthy. They do use Kareem Hunt a good amount. But Pacheco, he runs angry. And Andy Reid did say earlier in the week that he feels like at times he could maybe call a few more, I believe to use Andy Reid's lingo, he called it hard runs. I think that has been a discussion in Kansas City world right now. Are they not running the ball enough? And some of it that Reid pointed to was just kind of the RPO indications have led to Patrick Mahomes maybe calling a few more pass plays. So without DeForest Buckner, do they try to test the Colts a little bit on the ground? And again, Pacheco back in the lineup. He hasn't had a great season by any means, but he has had a nice career with them. So I think that's a little bit from the Kansas City side of it of Mahomes. Well, could they run it maybe a little bit more on Sunday?
Let's talk about this.
How about that D, baby?
Yeah, don't sleep on their defense.
No, their defense is good. But let's talk about how they match up against the Kansas City offense. Now with if they get Ward back and they got Bynum and they got Sauce Gardner, and is Kenny Moore going to be able to play this week or just rest in general yesterday like he always does, Kevin? No problem.
Yeah, I'd assume he's good to go.
All right, so let's say that they got to go. Here you have Rashee Rice is back now. They've got some nice complementary wide receivers, no other real studs, but then, of course, a tight end. They got Travis Kelce. How do they play against, especially Rice and Kelce? How do you see that matchup going?
Well, I was looking at some numbers for Patrick Mahomes, Jeff, and he has been great against zone coverage. Completion percentage at about 69%. I knew Mark would make a little noise over there. I got a little excited. But against man coverage, that drops to 56%. And I can get into all these other advanced stats, but the point is, he is one of the best quarterbacks still when he faces zone defenses in the league, whereas with man coverage, he's pretty average this season, at least. So all of that in mind, I think having Ward back in the lineup will allow you to play more man-to-man coverage. And ultimately, that's what they want to play. We had a conversation, and Kevin, I don't know if you were, this might have been right around the time that Nelly was being born, but we talked to Chris Hewitt, the Colts secondary coach, and the quote that sticks in my mind from our conversation was right after they had traded for Sauce, and he was like, we know when it comes down to it, we got to play man. We can play zone, we can use it to our advantage here and there, but he said, he used the term nut cutting. When it's nut cutting time, we have to be able to line up mano a mano and say, our guys are better than your guys. You're not going to beat us that way. And so I think Ward, assuming he's fully healthy and ready to go for Sunday, and I get there might be some rust there, but assuming he doesn't have any lingering effects from the concussion, Sauce Gardner being in there, Kenny Moore being one of the best slots in the league, and knowing you don't have DeForest Buckner, you might want to bring more pressure on Patrick Mahomes and then trust your back end that they can hold up in man coverage. And if they can, I think that's an advantage for the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up the number earlier in the week, James, the 22% blitz rate for Anarumo. And again, as we talked about yesterday, I almost think when you face Mahomes, you just go in the filing cabinet and pull out the Mahomes file. And it doesn't necessarily apply to C.J. Stroud next Sunday.
This is true.
Or Trevor Lawrence the Sunday after that, or Sam Darnold the Sunday after that. So I don't know if all of a sudden we're going to sit here Monday morning and be like, that Colts defense, that's the exact blueprint you're going to see the rest of the way. Well, you know, again, if you look at the Cincinnati, Kansas City history of Anarumo having some success against Mahomes, a lot of it is dropping 7 or 8 guys. Well, I watched that secondary go through practice yesterday, and I think to myself, you don't need to have 7 or 8 guys in coverage. Sauce Gardner, Javarius Ward, Kenny Moore II, you don't go out and get and pay the money you did for those guys to all of a sudden put a bunch of dudes back there in coverage. No. You say, hey, you go play out on an island, and we're going to blitz the hell out of these quarterbacks that we're about to face, especially without Buckner.
Yeah.
I saw a wild stat, one thing on Latu yesterday, of like how much more the Colts have pressured with him on the field versus without him on the field. So I think that's something to point out with Buckner now not in the lineup. It's okay, do you see teams almost now shift their doubling, if they will, from a pass protection standpoint over to Latu versus Buckner? And what does that do then to your overall pass rush? Samson Ebukam did get back to practice yesterday. He was limited, we should note, but Tyquan Lewis continues to be out. Sounds like he had, even though Shane Steichen won't say it, it sounds like he had a setback in his groin injury.
I still worry, too, about just coaching. You know, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, they're going to look at what Pittsburgh did. They're going to look at some of the success that Atlanta had rushing the quarterback. They're going to know, they're going to have a plan. They're going to dial some stuff up. That's the thing that worries me the most about this football game, Kevin, is what kind of blitzing scheme does Spagnuolo come up with? And, you know, these are 2 of the best coaches in the NFL. They're going to, if they sense a weakness and see something, they're going to exploit it.
Yeah, the one thing that I think is different, though, is they don't have the horses that Pittsburgh and Atlanta do off the edge. Like, I thought Pittsburgh and Atlanta just had some dudes.
But they might have the best middle of the defensive line rusher in the league, too, in Chris Jones.
Yeah, but again, is Chris Jones still Chris Jones?
I don't know. They're still a top 10 defense.
Because the edge pressure has really been the issue for the Colts lately. I thought Shane Steichen, which, you know, Shane typically downplays it, but, like, I didn't know if I totally agreed with him yesterday when he's like, well, you know, some of these sacks, it's Daniel running out of bounds. I'm like, Shane, he's been sacked 12 times in 2 games. Let's not act like Daniel Jones has ran out of bounds at the line of scrimmage 4 of those times, 5 of those times. Like right now, lately, you've had a pass protection issue. So we'll see how they respond to it in an environment that should be hostile. But again, if you jump on them early, I think you could create an interesting one.
All right, let's check it down and tell you what's happening right here, right now in the world of Indianapolis sports. Back to the Colts in a moment. We'll start with the NBA, where the Pacers picked up their second win of the season, both of them coming at home. But last night, a 127-118 victory over the Charlotte Hornets. Benedict Mathurin had 24 points, 12 rebounds. Pascal Siakam just steady as she goes, 22 points. But James Boyd, Jay Huff had 20 points, and they were important as the Pacers started to pull away in the second quarter.
Yes, Jay Huff with the poster dunk there in the third quarter, and then you saw the entire Pacers bench do the whole hold me back from getting on the court to going crazy for my teammate. Saw Tyrese having some fun there as well. So that was a sight for sore eyes for a team that hadn't won in quite some time.
Snapped an 8-game losing streak. They will play again on Friday night.
The first of 10 in a row. According to Benedict Mathurin.
He said, I don't think he said win, but he said
why can't we win 10 in a row?
Right.
That's 1 out of 10, baby.
Upcoming, they've got at Cleveland, home against Detroit, at Toronto. I'm sorry, Detroit at Toronto, home against Washington, Chicago, Cleveland, Denver. So a rough road ahead. We'll see what happens.
Needed that one last night.
Man, can you imagine if they go 10-0 in the next 10 games, Kevin? Changes everything, doesn't it?
Build thy statue.
Speaking of Cleveland, they lost last night to the Houston Rockets 114-104, and Jalen Brunson returns for the New York Knicks after being out with an injury. And they went on the road against Dallas by a score of 113-111. College basketball last night, Notre Dame over Bellarmine by a score of 86-79, and Indiana State got their third win of the year. They beat Louisiana Tech by a score of 60-51. But later on tonight, guys, we've got Lindenwood playing Indiana. Lindenwood 0-3 on the road. IU 4-0, 3-0 at home. That one starts at 6, but also number 1 ranked Purdue getting their number 1 ranking back again this week. They take their undefeated schedule up against Memphis this evening at the Bahamar Championship, Nassau, the Bahamas. Memphis has a 2-game losing streak. Purdue, of course, 4-0. That one starts at 6 also. Is that an ESPN game, Kevin?
CBS Sports for
CBS
Purdue.
Sports? Okay.
Boiler fans, heads up here. If you win, you'll be in the 9:30 slot tomorrow night in the championship game. So start brewing the coffee here early. Could be Texas Tech, which is would be another ranked opponent for Purdue. And if it's not Texas Tech, it would be Wake Forest. And Wake Forest, of course, is where Miles Colvin plays. So
he had a nice poster dunk earlier this year.
He did. Yeah, he played a lot against, was it Michigan maybe? Wake Forest, Michigan earlier in the season. So Purdue, notable favorite, as Jeff said. Memphis not very good this year, 13, 14-point favorite. And Lindenwood stinks. They lost to Alabama A&M, and IU beat Alabama A&M by 47.
Boy.
By the way, I saw Marquette lost to Dayton last night. So Marquette's now 3-3. So that I still think putting up 100 points on any Shaka Smart team is impressive, but from a resume standpoint, might not carry the same normal Marquette weight that you would think.
All right, NFL Week 12 starts tonight. The Houston Texans put their 5-5 record on the line at home against the Buffalo Bills, who were 7-3. Houston will be playing again, James, without their starting quarterback C.J. Stroud out with concussion. So Davis Mills again. If Buffalo wins this one in Houston, Texans fall to 5-6. Do we start to write them off in the AFC South? I think we do, don't we?
Yeah, I think that you could probably start leaning that way. So big one tonight for the Texans. Obviously,
the Colts will play on Sunday in Kansas City. That one will start at 1 p.m., and we'll have a pregame starting at 10 o'clock right here on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan, the Chiefs 5-5, and an opportunity, Kevin, to put them squarely behind the 8 ball at 5-6 in the AFC playoff race.
It's one of the harder lines, I think, of Week 12. Kansas City favored by 3 for this one. And yes, again, Nate Taylor shared with us late in the show yesterday. Patrick Mahomes, I think one of the wilder stats out there. 122, 123 regular season games. He's never lost 3 in a row, and he's only lost 2 in a row. I want to say it's 5, maybe 6 times in his career, which, again, is just beyond astonishing.
Has that happened a couple times this year? That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it happened right out of the gate. They lost their first 2, and then right now they've lost 2 in a row, of course.
Also, another NFL note, you guys see that Michael Penix will have season-ending surgery on a partially torn ACL. It's Kirk Cousins' time in Atlanta, James.
Yeah, it looks bleak for Michael Penix and Atlanta. He's supposed to be your quarterback of the future. He's, 25, 26 already, 3rd major knee surgery. Doesn't look good.
College coaching carousel continues. James Franklin, of course, is the new head coach at Virginia Tech. How crazy you get fired in the middle of the season at one place and also in the middle of the season, Kevin. Then you get turned right around and hired someplace else.
Did you guys see that Matt Gay found a new home?
They needed to.
Here you go with this.
Jeff, who would you take as the Colts kicker? Michael Badgley or Matt Gay?
Probably stick with Badgley.
Do you not like extra points?
You guys just hate your exes. And you hate extra points.
We've seen it. We've moved
Well, I
on.
told you, I don't hate my ex.
We moved on.
Baby, if you
Have
listen.
you moved on to better?
No, but I'm okay with Mister right now until we get better, as opposed to bringing Matt Gay back.
So you haven't moved on to better, but you're okay with it.
Jeff,
that
you're
makes
losing
no
me.
sense
You're supposed
to
to
me
be
in
on
the
my
world.
side. Come on,
My
man.
point is,
You haven't
there-
moved on to better,
we gotta
but
have
you're
a better
okay with it.
argument than that.
been there, but we've been there, done that. The other guy's here right now until he's not. That's how I'm
Oh,
looking
Oh,
at it.
man.
boy, that's a ringing endorsement.
Well, what
I
would
was
you
gonna
say?
I can't take dating
What would you
advice from
say?
you, man. If I told us this is to the current girl about the ex girl, that ain't gonna sound good.
Man.
You're supposed to say, "Hey, Michael Badgley's the best kicker we got."
I'm just going to point
He's
out
the
I've
best
been,
in the business.
I've been successfully with the same woman for 23 years now. That's all I'm pointing out.
flex on us, flex on us.
All Man, you look like Jay Huff reacting
Yeah,
to a dunk
that's
last
poster
night.
is dunk right there.
Matt Gay, 49ers practice squad for those that care.
Spencer Schrader's one of those new age girls that likes to she's like, okay, if you like fool around with a side chick. So you can have Badgley for a little bit, but I'm still the main one. You're like, okay.
Jeff goes from, "Hey, I've been married happily for 20 plus years," and then Mark within 10 seconds brings up the side chick. What
I'm
is
just
going
saying.
on?
You know that Spencer Schrader's the one. You're like, okay.
Oh,
letting
I see
me-
what you're saying. I actually like that analogy
we're
a
just
little
waiting
bit, but
for. I guess that's my ultimate
gotta wait a long
point.
time
He
for
said it.
number one to get back, though.
You said it much better. Neither one of those guys are the guy, right? We know
Right.
that.
We know Spencer
I'm
Schrader's
just
the
laughing
one.
at Jeff calling Michael
but
Badgley
the
Mr.
reality
right now.
is, unfortunately, Spencer Schrader's leg ain't healing before the end of the season. So I thought, honestly, Jeff, you might say bring A.D. Mitchell back to kick.
Well, he might. Well, I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to leave it alone.
Spencer Schrader gave you the stamp of approval. You're allowed to go fool around a little bit.
Low
with
hall pass
Badgley.
action.
Yeah.
I like where Mark's brain is just always there. Like, get a little permission to fool around.
I
a little
know.
bit. How about that?
Yeah.
Is that like your hall pass? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. The celebrity crush came out in Michael Badgley, and Spencer Schrader's like, all right, you've laminated the list. He's on there. You can have fun. Don't look at that other guy, Matt Gay. No. Michael Badgley, okay. Approved.
Who would you take between the two? You didn't answer the question.
I've answered all week long. Matt Gay.
Oh, well, okay. I just got here. So.
Not anymore.
All right.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine, Jeff. You just got here, and we have been saying this all week. You're on an island by yourself there, Kevin.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll check in on the Pacers. Scott Agnes will stop by from the Fieldhouse Files, talk about win number 2 on the season last night. Do we call this a Victory Thursday, James?
Look, I'll take whatever positive vibes you're giving out, Jeff. So, yes, it's the Victory Thursday.
All right, Pacers forever here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. I'm just going to have to groove to this one for a second, Mark. Sorry. It's a Thursday morning, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. The Indiana Pacers coming up with a 9-point win at home last night to break an 8-game losing streak. They got past the Charlotte Hornets, and on the Payless Liquors hotline right now to give us a little more info on that and what the Pacers look like moving forward, our good friend Scott Agnes from the Fieldhouse Files. Scott, I know you don't necessarily root for, against, whatever, but it's got to be better after 8 games in a row to write about losses to write about a win.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Absolutely. You feel it in the city more than anything, right? Like, everybody was down. It's even on social media a little bit on the group. And so, yeah, you're happy to see these guys bounce back and get in the win column after what they have been through. 8 straight losses, that 1-13 start. And more than anything, it's got to be painful for these guys to just see one guy after another go down with an injury. And so, yeah, last night was much needed, I think, for the morale of the team, I'm sure.
Scott, can we get an oral history on Jay Huff's first poster dunk as a Pacer? Is that next up on fieldhousefiles.com?
Not quite, but yeah. How about him leading them in 3-pointers too last night? I bet most fans didn't foresee that happening at all this season either. But that's what the Pacers knew he was capable of, given a larger opportunity, and for sure that was got to be the highlight of his season so far.
I don't want to take too much away from the fact that Charlotte is awful. We know that. But you play who's in front of you. How much do you think that third quarter was just needed from a morale standpoint, whether it was Jay Huff making some plays and others chipping in as well, to, have a sequence or a series of sequences where it felt like kind of the old Pacers running and gunning, making threes, getting stops, and getting down transition?
Yeah, I thought we felt that a lot last night in several different instances, including even a little bit there in the first quarter where they're getting out and running. Their fast break points were kind of at a normal range of what we expect, certainly. Now, the rebounding advantage of what Charlotte was able to do and such early on was a little bit concerning. I was like, I don't know where this is headed just based off that, because they've seen in recent games, certain opponents would be so good at one thing that the Pacers would struggle, right? At Toronto Raptors, it was fast break points, for example, it really stands out. And with the Hornets, it was definitely rebounding. But, yeah, this was one of those situations, James, I totally agree with you that, you know what Mathurin is going to do, and he's so young that he's going to be in shape even though he hadn't played for 3 weeks. And I thought he had just such a complete, well-rounded game. That was great to see. And then so did everybody else, like Nembhard picking his spots early in on the game. And I think you're starting to see a little bit of normalcy, I think, with player availability, and that's directly impacted everybody being allowed to play and being able to play back in their normal role. The only big concern that continues to pop up, I would say, is these fouls at the center spot. Isaiah Jackson in foul trouble, Bradley in foul trouble, Huff too, and I think 8 of their first 12 or 14 fouls were come from that center spot. And that's been something that's bothered them for the first month of the season.
Scott, Rick Carlisle mentioned after the game he expects kind of some lineup fluidity moving forward. We obviously know Nembhard, Mathurin, and Siakam are going nowhere. Those are definite starters. So as you look at, Shepherd and Walker maybe, obviously the center rotation you point out, do you view that as more matchup-based night in and night out who the other team has, or do you view that more who's the hot hand for us, I guess?
Yeah, I think I view it as the former right now. I think Carlisle and his staff have gone back to what gives them the best chance for that one game. They have to take it truly one game at a time, and I think nobody has really shown themselves to really take over that third guard spot, the small forward spot like a Jarris Walker, Ben Shepherd. And so I think it'll probably continue to be based on what they need in that moment, unless somebody's on a heater, unless somebody's just in a nice groove. And so far, nobody has taken advantage of that just yet. And I think, though, like I was saying, kind of having some normalcy, having that lineup fluidity like Carlisle was talking about, I think that will help a lot of these guys, especially those that were younger, guys that aren't necessarily in the rotation or aren't asked to be starters in their usual role. Like Walker's coming off a postseason last year where it ended abruptly because of that ankle injury, and he wasn't able to play in the finals. And then now that he's getting this big opportunity, I think he's had to narrow it down, his mind, and not let it run wild and just do what he does best. And I think he's funneling that in a lot better. At least that's what we saw last night.
Fieldhouse Files, where you can find the work of Scott Agnes. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Sticking on Matherin here for a little bit more. Again, this is for every Pacer player. What this year's iteration is asking of them is different, or, it's just more on their plate. So with Matherin and the contract and the restricted free agency, what do you think the season has to look like, Scott, for the Pacers to match anything and everything that's presented in front of Matherin from the other 29 teams?
Yeah, that's a lot, mostly given what they already have on the books. I think that's the number one factor when you got to think ahead to what the Pacers do and are able to do next summer is how does it directly impact and what is feasible given their current restraints because of the money they've given out over the last 2 years and all really good deals. But you can't pay everybody. And so that's the number one thing the Pacers will have to come to light. They would love to if it could pan out here. But I think you're probably to match any, like that's a high bar to match any offer, which probably means a max rookie contract type thing. I mean, what are you looking at? You're looking at 20 points per game, having consistent performances on both ends of the floor, which is something the staff has emphasized to him since he arrived here. And I don't know what the specific metrics are, but I just think he's got to have that 20 points per game and play within the style of play that the coaching staff continue to emphasize and do it at a high level here moving forward. And because you can always – here's the other thing I like to emphasize too is you can always sign a guy and figure it out later if it doesn't work out. And so I know a lot of fans see him as the one that makes sense to move on, but – I would have some pause and hesitation in doing that because he provides a lot of things the Pacers need. Right now, it's scoring, it's energy, it's those effort plays.
I'm curious to see if he continues this all year long. But again, the opportunity for guys to be able to develop now in the absence of so many injuries and things like that. What are we saying about Jarris Walker at the All-Star break?
Yeah, I think you're saying that after the rocky start to the season, you hope that he had settled in a little bit, become more confident in what is being demanded of him, and really risen to the occasion. Because I think that's not what's been the case thus far. He's had some glimpses, certainly. His outside shot, something we saw really develop when he was playing in the G League his first year. That has continued to shine through, even though he's been in a rut the last several weeks, certainly. I don't worry about his shot. What I worry about is some of the decision-making. I worry about when he attacks to the rim, what's he going to do with it? And it feels just like maybe his mind's racing. And then defensively, the challenge has always been adapting to the way in which the Pacers want to play and being in the right spots and tagging off and being in the right help position. But I think by All-Star break, I would hope and I expect for him to be much better, much more consistent, and absolutely have earned the minutes that he is getting at that point.
All right, buddy. Keep us informed. And did we have a little bit of a labor breakthrough in the WNBA yesterday?
Nothing significant. You're just getting some leaks come out about what's potentially going on or what's available to the players. I think it's just some posturing to this point, but nothing significant.
But did they talk about the potential of the higher paid players making over $1 million now?
Yeah, that was the touch point. There is the fact that there might be at least $1 million per year contract that is utilized per player, but we don't know what the salary caps looks like. We don't know much, but I thought that was interesting that was dropped. Notably to me, because who generally are those with the biggest voices and such? Well, it's the max contract players. And so you start to take care of them, and then maybe even it brings those players to the room to have further conversations. But I did find it interesting that that was the one notable thing that I think got out yesterday for sure.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you as always.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files. You can go check his stuff out there online. Pacers get their second win of the year. They snap an 8-game losing streak. And once again, that's part of our Pacers playback that we like to give you every so often, brought to you by C&J Water, the official water treatment partner of the Indiana Pacers, cnjwater.com. It was just fun to watch a game in which they were in control again last night, and it was fun to watch the ball moving around. It was fun to watch Jay Huff doing his thing. It was fun to watch Benedict Mather and just kind of take control of the game for a little bit there.
F-U-N.
Man, I thought you were going somewhere else.
You sound like
there.
SpongeBob.
Mark was ready to go. He was
F
rolling
is for
on that
friends
baby.
that do stuff together.
Got to
U
make
is
Mark
for you
sweat a
and
little
me.
bit. Mark makes us
It
sweat.
is for
He's
anywhere,
gotta sweat.
anything.
He doesn't
Fun is
sweat
for you
over
and me.
anything. He's loving every time we screw up.
Mm-hmm. Keep it going.
Talk
There's
about
plenty of show left.
all right. Coming up in a moment, we've been talking about college football all year long for great reason, because we have the second-ranked football team in the country, the top-ranked basketball team in the country up at Purdue. We're going to talk a little bit about the landscape and the swiftly changing landscape of college football and where the Hoosiers fit in next as we continue 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. NFL football coming up later on tonight. Houston Texans in the AFC South taking on the Buffalo Bills, another potential playoff opponent for the Indianapolis Colts right now, so it'll be interesting to see who does what with that. But college football, Indiana this week off, James. They get ready to play their final regular season game of the year against Purdue a week from tomorrow. And
That's
we're
for
all
the
looking
bucket?
forward to that. Yep, that's for the bucket there. The latest college football playoff rankings coming out a few days ago. Ohio State number 1, Indiana number 2, Texas A&M has moved up to number 3. But I find this interesting as everybody else in college football is trying to either get into the playoff hunt or find their next coach. James Franklin gets announced at Virginia Tech yesterday. Everybody wants to know what's going on with Lane Kiffin and who's going to end up where and who's going to get the UCLA job. And is Eli Drinkwitz going to leave Missouri? It goes on and on and on. How nice is it, Kevin Bowen, for Indiana to be secure in their head coach, have him signed to a huge contract as big as anybody else is going to give him for a long period of time, sitting there at number 2, looking at probably a bye in the college football playoff, and everything is just set in stone for a while. Like, that just when has that happened?
Well, never is probably the best way to put it. Yeah, your biggest worry is how to get a affordable Big Ten championship ticket and find out where exactly that quarterfinal game is going to be, which site it'll be at there. So, yeah, times are definitely a change. And Mark, do you have this Fernando Mendoza on Curt Cignetti? I thought this was really good yesterday. Again, we've seen Mendoza make kind of the media rounds this week. They are building up the Heisman campaign. He was on McAfee earlier this week. Yesterday, he held a Zoom with plenty of different media outlets. And we have known Mendoza to be, certainly one of the nicer individuals you'll ever hear in an interview. And sure, he got nearly, $3 million from Indiana to come play football there. That obviously was attractive. But I thought him explaining in a little bit more detail Curt Cignetti's relationship with him specifically during the recruiting process, because Georgia wanted him. There are other schools that wanted him. I thought that was really interesting to hear.
When I entered the transfer portal, it was a little bit of a whirlwind. There was a couple schools that I was heavily considering, and it was a really tough decision. It was a really tough decision not only to leave the University of California, Berkeley, but also to choose Indiana. And I would say a big part of that decision was my little brother, because he was able to tell me the good and the bad of Indiana while I was trying to figure out the good and the bad of these other schools. Not saying there's a lot of bad at these other schools or bad at Indiana, just the overall pros and cons of each situation there. I thought that the other schools were going to have fantastic teams and fantastic outlooks in the season. However, and that's what they sold me on. Coach Cignetti, on the other hand, sold me on being the best Fernando Mendoza that I can become. That no matter what happens, that I'm going to become the best quarterback if I have a crystal ball and I choose every single school, or if I can see my future at every single school, I'd become the best quarterback. I don't know if we'd be the best team, but I would be the best quarterback. And at that point, that's all I can control. I can control as being the best Fernando Mendoza quarterback and character that I can become. And that's what really sold me, because that was my reason for entering the transfer portal, is wanting to develop, wanting to take that next step and that next growth. And so when he sold me on that, I knew that it was a done deal, especially with my brother being here and be able to help me so much with the offense, the lingo, the terminology, and also just the whole aura and space of Bloomington as well. I thought that it was a no-brainer, and so far it's been a good decision, but need to keep on proving that decision right.
I think, kind of the diehard IU fans will realize Cignetti's history with quarterbacks is quite impressive. Now, again, when you're doing it at JMU and Elon and, IUP, it doesn't really resonate on the national level. But, even look at Curtis Rourke last year. Very accomplished MAC quarterback, but I don't think anyone expected him to be necessarily a draft pick. Tears ACL and becomes a draft pick. So that, I think, will continue to help Indiana, no matter what they decide to do quarterback-wise moving forward. Do they go with his younger brother? Do they go back into the portal? Do they start to have a little bit more of a recruiting pipeline at the quarterback position from high schoolers? Hearing Mendoza's quote specifically about that, I think should only enhance Indiana in attracting whatever the quarterbacks look like of the future, whether it's all portal-based or they start to, get a little bit more of the, 4- and 5-star quarterbacks.
Yeah, and one thing that'll help with all of that, and I go back to something we talked about at the start of the show, again, now you have this track record being built up at the highest level for Curt Cignetti, which is fantastic. And he talked about the pros and the cons, and if Cignetti can connect with other kids the way that he kind of connected with Mendoza there, that's terrific. But how cool is it now to bring a kid on campus for a visit in the atmosphere that I talked about on Saturday, where there is reality meeting expectation, where there is not an empty seat anywhere, where 95% of the crowd is Indiana and all the young kids are wearing their candy stripe pants and all the other things are going on. And there's excitement and feeling in that building, which we haven't seen. Maybe we saw it for a moment a few years ago, but really this looks like it's here to stay for a while, Kevin.
No, I mean,
it feels like it.
We've never seen the environments that you're alluding to there. So yeah, it's a different world. I mean, Jeff, James and I talked about it on yesterday's show. Here in December, on back-to-back Saturdays, the IU basketball program will play a neutral site game against Louisville, and then they'll go at Kentucky the next Saturday. Like, for an IU basketball fan, those are just awesome. Circle on the calendar, non-conference games, tons of history against those two programs, et cetera, et cetera. And on both those Saturdays, an IU fan will care more about football. They'll care more about the Big Ten title game that will be on that Saturday night when they play Louisville here. The night of IU at Kentucky at Rupp is the same time as the Heisman Trophy ceremony. They're going to want to see Fernando Mendoza hoist that thing up and give a speech that, you'll have every mom say, can that dude marry my daughter, with how nice and how just friendly he seems, all of that.
You know what I was thinking when he was talking? I trust that guy to land a plane. I really would.
He's the one random dude that says he can
I'm
always
serious.
land a plane that could do it.
He would be the greatest substitute teacher.
He's the guy in the exit row that won't fall asleep, is what you're saying?
I feel like you could just throw a number of different random American jobs at him. Hell, world jobs at him.
Kind of like Andrew Luck,
yeah,
right?
and I would trust him.
That's like Andrew Luck.
Yes,
you trust Andrew Luck to do that guy.
Luck-like.
We've decided, yes, Fernando Mendoza is going to be the campus tour guide,
Yes,
and then he's also going to land the plane.
and I should amend that, say world jobs. You do have schools in other countries. I'm sorry about that.
Don't have to apologize to us. It's all good. All right, coming up in a moment, Mark.
By the way, Mark, you maybe for next week, find that Mendoza interview from yesterday and find him describing Purdue.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There is nothing better than the nicest human being in the world, Fernando Mendoza, trying to describe Purdue as a good football team. It was one of the funnier quotes that I've heard in quite a while. So find that clip, and we'll save that for Bucket Week.
He's just trying to pay proper respect. That's all.
It was so funny. God bless Fernando Mendoza.
Mark, you're a very curious young man.
Always.
All right. Well, look forward to your questions coming up a moment here. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Top of the hour and top of the morning to you here on a Thursday as we get ready for Week 12 in the NFL. Starting later on tonight, it'll be the Bills and the Texans, Colts and Chiefs coming up Sunday at Arrowhead Stadium. We've been talking about all that. The Pacers get a win last night. Grant, you'll be happy to know James got his driver's license this week.
Yeah, he already hit me up. We got plans
you guys
for
ready to go
tomorrow
Friday
night.
night?
Yeah, we got plans for tomorrow night.
So we asked my aunt and his brother if they're around to get a picture of him driving off to school for the first time on his own to drive to school, right? So I looked at the video this morning that just got sent to me, and it's a picture of a red Camry rolling out of the driveway and heading down the street. We didn't actually get to see Grant getting into the car. Can't really tell who's driving.
Is it Grant or is it AI?
I don't know. Could be AI at this point in time. But yeah, you and Grant are good to go now on
That's
Friday
a lot
nights,
of trust.
man.
So he got the license when?
Yesterday.
He's picking up
And
a
you're
co-ed at
already
the first stop
throwing him
sign.
the keys and saying go to school?
Well, he's been driving to school with his mom or somebody in the passenger seat for the last
So he's solo
3
today,
months.
though. Well,
Solo today.
That is some trust right there.
Yeah.
I think it took a while for my dad to finally be like, all right, you can take the keys and not wreck my car.
He did drive himself to a saxophone lesson last night, and he did have to talk me into that.
Okay.
But he did. He goes, Dad, I've been driving it. You've watched me do it for the last 3 months.
Yeah, as soon as you get out, we hit the aux and we turn the music up, the Bluetooth. Yeah.
He's picking up his girlfriend at the stop sign
I
down
know.
the street.
Yeah, you think he going to school. Yeah, he get some education.
You get home and he's parked in the front lawn.
You were talking about AI a little while ago. I'm curious to know where you were going with that.
Yeah, I got an AI question. I'm not a chat GBT or can you throw your shoes in the washing machine?
Yes.
Sure, you can.
Well, what quality of the shoe are we talking?
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm saying here. So
I'm not throwing my Jordans in there,
You
but
can't
like if
put
they're like
leather in
my
there.
lawn cutting shoes, sure.
So where do you draw the line?
What are you dealing with?
Yeah.
Let's hear the
What's the
situation.
Well, I just
What are
got
the
shoes that I
shoes?
look at. I'm like, man, I could use a little clean on them. Should I throw them in there? What material's allowed? What material's not
Oh,
allowed?
boy.
Mark, don't they have these little bags on TikTok where you can throw your shoes in the bag and it's supposed to clean it up for you within the bag so your shoes are treated a little more
okay.
Look at
gently?
this. Now we're going chat GBT and TikTok all to
right.
solve my issue.
So as the resident sneaker guy on the
All right.
show, because
Have you ever put your shoes in the washer?
Yes.
I have, but they're for what I call my like beaters, the ones I just beat around in when it comes to yard work, running.
Okay.
When I refereed back in college, like they would be like leather Nikes or something. Throw them in, but you don't dry. Don't ever dry
So
in the dryer.
air dry
You
them.
gotta air dry.
Yep.
Okay.
If you dry them, they will come
They're
out
done.
in
Yeah.
bits and pieces.
What washer setting we putting it on? Anything crazy?
probably.
Cold,
Cold and gentle, right?
gentle, light, all that.
Delicate.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever
Delicate.
it's called.
Okay.
So where did
All right.
AI come on this?
So leather, James, though, you would throw in there?
I mean, cloth shoes. If you like have some white cloth shoes, and my dad did this. I don't know why he did this when I was in high school. I had some white cloth shoes, and my dad, being a great father, trying to make sure the shoes stay white, threw them in the washing machine, and they came out a little yellow. And I was like, I can't be wearing shoes that look like I missed to school.
So would I throw my white Nikes in with like these darker Hokas? Is that dangerous?
I wouldn't.
How old are
I'd
those
use
Hokas,
cold
by the
water.
yes,
Do the
cold
white
water.
Nikes become a little tinted?
Well, you have one set of shoes at a time here. You can't just be throwing. You don't want your
I'm
washing
gonna-
machine to sound like you're skipping rocks.
But
Oh, I was going to throw them all in there at once.
I'm going to throw this in
oh,
too.
Maddie, you're
No.
raising a bunch of kids over there.
Buying a
Goodness.
new washing machine.
I was
in
like,
a
it's
second.
Nelly, Max, and then
I'm going to throw
Nelly,
this
Max,
in
Rosie,
too.
and Kevin here.
Only because Hokas are kind of my thing. Right?
All right,
I pay
take it
attention to what's
away.
coming out and what's going on. I got a whole bunch of them at home. I can tell you by the style that Kevin's wearing, those are at least 3 years old.
Boy, I'd say they're about 3 months old.
Those right there?
Yeah.
Those are 3 months.
Now
from
these
when?
are about. I want to say these are like.
Those are not 3 months old.
1,000% have been bought in the year 2025. I'm going to guess 3 to 4 months old.
Really? Okay.
That might
This
be
expertise has gone out the window in lightning speed.
Then he got some. No, because you can still get some models somewhere, I suppose. But
Listen to the guy with the Jordans.
He
okay?
basically just told you, what are those?
He's been doing a lot of
Literally.
walking in those shoes.
That was meaner than when he called me Kevy that one time.
I meant that in a very, very affectionate
Right,
way.
he wasn't being mean. A little risque, but
Chris
not mean.
Landers writes in, "Hey Kevin, there's a tray they make that fits in the lint catcher in the dryer that you could put your shoes on, and they do not spin in the dryer. They stay stable right in the middle of the dryer, so they get the hot air and it dries your shoes, but it doesn't mess them up. Best invention ever, Chris says.
How about you use a little elbow grease?
I think you can just air dry that.
You can definitely air dry your shoes.
Yeah, I'm not.
But how dirty are we talking? Just get a rag and throw some
Well, I know.
cleaning spray
I
in it.
know.
Boom, boom, boom.
Toothbrush.
I know.
Drew
Yeah.
says,
I usually do that, but I don't know. There's just part of me like I have like a hat washer, so I figured, okay, why not throw the
Okay,
shoes
so what
in
does a
there?
hat washer entail?
Basically, just
It
like a
keeps the
plastic
form of your hat.
mold, and you throw the hat in there. And
I didn't know those existed.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Drew says, Air Forces, Nike running shoes, nothing suede, and the shoelaces come out fresh.
There you go.
That's key. I could throw some golf shoes in there too.
Now you're getting crazy.
Okay, hold on now.
Soft spikes or what?
I was about to say,
Well,
they better
yeah,
be
it's
soft
a
It's a bit
spikes.
chaotic out there.
Yeah,
if
I'm
you
not
do.
throwing the metal spikes in there.
As much as you
sounds
keep
like a
talking,
bad scene from Toy
I'm
Story.
just like, Maddie, please.
Did you go to
watch him.
Chat GPT and check out what the answer was there or not?
No,
No.
I don't. Do you have to download ChatGPT on your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't
I
have to download it. You can actually just go online.
You go to
I
the
don't have-
website if you
Yeah.
want to, I guess.
I've never been to the website.
Stay that way.
Get in there, Kevin. Poke and prod. See what you find in there. Maybe you might like it.
The coolest thing I've ever done on Chat GPT is gave it a picture of my dog, and it spit it back out like the Super Dog from Super Friends when you were a kid, the cartoon, with a little cape and everything and an S on the front. That was about it.
You think we'll get more nude pictures now just sent via AI and ChatGPT, and people just blame it on that?
You act like you want those.
No, I
Wait,
just
run
feel
that
like
back for me one more time.
we always get the I got hacked. Oh boy, the naked picture showed up. I got hacked. And well, now can't you just say, oh, that's AI?
Nah.
Did you see what Mark produced yesterday? That was incredible. How quickly Mark was able to produce those pictures of me.
Not
And they
nude,
did
though.
look like you.
Yeah, and did you hear Jason Hammer's voice that he gives us at times with the AI voices?
So are you coming around to AI, or where are you at?
No, I think it's scary.
You need to watch Pluribus on Apple TV. It gets into this, and it's great.
That might be coming up on I Gotta Know.
Ah.
Oh, very, very interesting. Here's the only thing about we messed around with it as a family, the kids and I, one time. We took a little video of the two kids and the dog in the back seat of a car, and my wife is Filipino. Jake really doesn't look that Filipino, but Grant's got Filipino features to him. And AI made Grant look like the whitest kid I've ever seen in my life. I don't know what that was all about. How'd that work?
Well, assuming that the AI technology is pretty good, it'll never make me look white. We have a guy.
I just thought it was really interesting. It was like, doesn't look anything like my kid.
We have a guy here in the chat. Dre Sean says, JB, tell Jeff my grandma gave me $60 in the keys when I got my license. And I got them on New Year's Eve.
Oh, my.
There you
$20
go.
went into the tank and the rest went to alcohol. And I had a car full of women that night. What a life.
Whoa!
I'm glad he's here to tell us about
Is there
it.
more to that
I was
story?
about to say, Grant, tomorrow night, your new life awaits.
What's called Blackout Wednesday we got coming up. You
Oh,
and Grant about
boy.
to do some damage.
You'll
Is
bring it back.
JMV going to be at Brothers and Broad Ripple? Boy, I had some long Black Wednesdays at that establishment. Mark Dyketon, should we get into I Gotta Know?
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
sure.
do it.
All right, boys. The Pacers got a much-needed win yesterday. That's 2 on the season. They have 17 games left in the year of 2025 before we flip the calendar to 2026. Can they get to the current Colts win total of 8 in the final 17 games? Are there 6 more wins for the Pacers before the end of
And they go
2025?
6-11 is what you're asking us?
Yes.
Boy,
Man.
I'm probably going to say no.
Yeah, with all due reverence to Benedict Matherin, there's no 10-game winning streak coming in this team's future.
No, you don't have to be win streak, but can you get
No,
some
I
wins
understand.
here?
I was just
I'm
putting
looking
it
at
in
their
perspective.
schedule, boy, and I
It's
I
rough.
might
think
have
so.
to say no.
Doesn't
don't
it get a
think so.
little lighter, like late November, early December? I know the next 3 are against 3 of the top 4 teams in the East, but don't you have the
You got
Wizards?
the
A little
Wizards,
bit.
you got the Bulls.
Starting the 8th of December, they've got Sacramento and New York at home, at New Orleans, at Boston, Milwaukee, Boston, at Miami, at Houston. No, I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, you got to throw in a couple in-season games, right, that aren't scheduled, so we'll have a couple more in there. Whenever that is, mid-December, whenever the in-season tournament happens. Oh, boy, 6-11.
Does that even count towards your record, though? Well, they do, except for the final. So
Yeah, just the championship.
I
Doesn't-
hope so, but I'm not hopeful. I hope
I hope so,
but I'm not.
but I'm not hopeful.
No,
That
I'm
is a great way to put it, honestly.
I'm gonna say over. I'll be the contrarian,
Okay.
but
Mhm.
I think where you have some optimism last night. Now, let me be clear: that Hornets team was doo-doo, but the fact that you won that game, Siakam wasn't like insane. He had a nice night. I don't act like he played bad, but he wasn't like 32 points or something. And Andrew Nembhard had as many turnovers as he had assists. Well, that's not a recipe for winning. So, like, there's more with Nembhard. There's more with Siakam that you can get to, even if Jay Huff isn't careering it like he did last night. So, I'll say 7 or 8.
Mark, what do you think?
I say no, unfortunately. I would like it to be the case, but that schedule's rough, and
Could Neesmith get back? What'd they say with Neesmith? Mid-December?
you hope so. Will that be a little bit of a spark? Is that enough? I don't know. They've been getting blown out so much lately where, I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. It's been rough, unfortunately, but thought it was an interesting question. All right. I'm giving you guys an athlete career do-over. So think about it for a second. You can have one athlete get a career do-over.
Because of injury or
However you
circumstance
want
or
it.
whatever?
However you want it. They retired early. Maybe, however injuries plagued them or something like that. Or maybe you want them to switch sports like a Jeff Zamarja. Maybe see how they would have done in football if they went to the NFL. Whatever you want. You get one athlete career do-over. What are you choosing? I'll start.
Man.
I'll start. I think it's pretty easy.
You've thought about it.
This one's a little easier for me. Derrick Rose,
I thought about going there.
because youngest
there.
MVP ever, and just injuries just completely derailed his career. Even if he wasn't for the Bulls, I just would have liked to seen what his career trajectory was going to be, because that was watching old Derrick Rose highlights. It's unbelievable what that guy was doing with his size and everything like that. But that's one of them. Barry Sanders is another one for me because he retired early. What would his career have looked like if he would have kept plugging along?
I'm going to make
all that.
everybody mad, but to me, the obvious is Andrew Luck. If he hadn't had all those nasty injuries, Kevin, would he still be the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts today?
He'd be my age, right? So that's 36.
He'd probably have a Hall of Fame resume by now, honestly.
Matthew Stafford's about to be the MVP at how old?
37?
37?
I'll keep it local as well. I'll go with Jonathan Bender. When you hear the stories about people that watched him in practice, and I think we saw a little bit of it in the NBA games, this could have been Kevin Durant before Kevin Durant. Some 7-foot vibes of just skill, and really in an age, I mean, that was what, 97, 98? We're still years before Durant arrived. A decade before he arrived. I think the game of basketball had yet to really see a potential talent like that. Again, high school that went to the NBA as well, and obviously the injuries, well documented. So I'll keep it local. I'll go over the Pacers and go with Jonathan Bender.
It's a good one. That's a good one.
I'll go. Oh, this is so hard for me, honestly. I was a huge Brandon Roy fan growing up, and he had injuries galore to the knees. And I remember Kobe saying that Brandon Roy had no weaknesses in his game. And I always thought that he had his career cut too short. So that was my guy growing up. If I had to pick like my all-time favorite starting 5, he would be my 2 guard.
How's a kid from Chicago end up rooting for a kid from playing for Portland?
Television. I mean, just watching him.
No, it's cool. I just
Yeah,
was
I
curious.
mean,
I used to love him at Washington, Brandon Roy.
yeah, no,
in
I became a
college.
fan of him when he played for Portland and just learned his history and stuff like that. And I had sneakers growing up, actually. So big fan of his. And remember, Jeff, like the Bulls were kind of garbage until the Derrick Rose years. And
yeah.
like I said, shooting guard wise, the Bulls still didn't have one when Derrick Rose was at his peak. Keith Bogans was the two guard, and he scored as many points as me some nights.
You're not a Kirk Heinrich fan?
Oh, Kirk Heinrich.
Yeah,
What a
Kirk.
legend.
What a guy!
He could shoot.
Could use him on the
He
Patriots
could
right
shoot, man.
Evan Sherrill said Derrick Rose. Easy.
There we go.
There. Lord Smoke said Bo Jackson.
now. Yeah, Bo Jackson.
Michigan Wolverine says Austin Collie. Josh White says Maurice Claret. So there's some good ones. Alex Laverne says Greg Oden
Reese
as well. So.
Clarets.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, Odin's definitely a popular one. I think
Bob
Mark,
Sanders is another one.
it's a good summer combo to like do the dual sport thing. You know, when you and I'm heavily biased. He's one of my favorite athletes of all time, and I know I'm getting a little nerdy here, but like tonight or last night, you saw for the Hornets, Pat Connaughton is still in the NBA. For those that don't know, he was a great pitcher at Notre Dame, a la Samardzija. He forewent, I would say, a notable MLB contract to go be like the fringe 14th guy in the NBA, and he's had an 11-year NBA career. And my question is this with Connaughton. Let's say he retires from the NBA tomorrow. He's played, 11 years, so that's, 33, 34 years old? Could he not go pitch? Could he not go try and pitch for 4 years?
It's a good,
I think it's just wild that there are some athletes
Do you
like
think he's
that.
even pitched for a while?
Well, probably not,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, could you, I don't know, rev it
wasn't
up?
like Kyler kind of similar to having some baseball prowess as well?
Right, Kyler Murray, that was talked about a lot, so.
Drew snarkily says Anthony Richardson.
Oof.
I do wonder about the shoulder early in his career, like how much that changed things. We have Sterling Sharp here in the YouTube chat. That
Gail
was great.
Sayers, I see another one saying that. That's a good one.
Last thing I'll say on this topic, beyond injuries and stuff like that, if there was ever like a butterfly effect moment in the NBA, I would love to see how the NBA looks now if Kevin Durant never went to Golden State. What trickle down effect does that have on the rest of the league and certain, moments that have happened since then?
All right. I don't know if we're going to have I got to know before we have Thanksgiving next week since we have a shortened week. So, the Thanksgiving go-to side dish that you are salivating for come a week from today. You're like, get out of my way, turkey.
This is the
I need
easiest
this
thing
one.
ever.
I've come around over the last 10, 12 years. I am team stuffing. I love it. I love it. And young me.
Are you
have
like Shane
mine.
Steichen, stovetop? Or
You
did
can
he
have
say or
mine.
something?
Yeah. Teenage me, no chance. And now I'm like, seconds, thirds. Hell, I'll warm it up Friday and Saturday.
Jeff?
Just give me all the mashed potatoes and gravy you can put on my plate.
And you said
again
you
and
hated
again and
stuffing,
again.
right?
Not a stuffing guy at all. But you give me.
He's carbo loading.
You give me as much mashed potatoes and gravy as I can put down my gullet, man. I'm good.
James?
I'll go sweet potatoes.
Those are
Ooh,
good too.
That's good.
Candy yams, as my folks call it. And we call it dressing, not stuffing. We have this debate every
I don't know.
Thanksgiving about like,
Pumpkin
is it
pie?
right, is it not?
Pumpkin pie or what's the other one?
Sweet potato?
Sweet potato pie.
Well, again, in our culture, it is sweet potato. If we
They're-
bring,
they're
if I
both
bring
great.
pumpkin pie by the house, they're gonna be like, "Boy,
They're both great.
who raised you?"
Yeah.
Jesse Boyd's telling you to eat outside.
Pretty much.
My aunt makes a broccoli cheddar casserole that is to die for. Like
That sounds
I
outstanding.
would say that sounds good. Yeah.
It's outstanding. It's gotten so popular. She has to make like 3 different trays of it because it just goes on. People just. That's the first thing everybody grabs. It is so damn good that it is phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna sit down and watch some football and enjoy that. All right, real quick. We said this before. We do this every week. What are we watching? I'll start real quick because James teased it earlier. Pluribus on Apple TV. Watched episode 2 last night. Outstanding. I'm locked in. I cannot wait. That is, again, the new series from Vince Gilligan, who did Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Rhea Seehorn is on it. She's the lead.
Love her.
Fantastic show.
Maddie Bowen, of course, home with Nelly right now, and she is binging and binging and binging. I don't know what the exact title is. Mark, maybe you can help me out on it. But the show about the Mormon wives.
There's like 8 of them.
Yeah.
Which is
Oh
fitting
my
because it's a Mormon show. But yeah, there's
Gosh.
Ashley's watching something too.
My
I'm like,
wife is
I
in
mean,
that stuff
she
too.
is obsessed with it, and I'm going to be
Secret
honest.
Lives of Mormon Wives. Is that it?
Yes, thank you. The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And when I've walked in the door a few times, I've taken a glance up at the TV. Man, I can see why Brandon Davies had his little mishap there back in his BYU days there. So, but yeah, I'm not getting too deep into the weeds of the show itself, but they've got some lookers.
I will tell you this. Lived in Salt Lake City for almost 5 years. Unbelievably gorgeous women there.
That's why you need a bunch of them, I guess.
I don't know.
This is the part where I say, if you want to block his eyes, Christine, I'm joking.
I was
Ashley's
waiting for
watching
you to
that.
jump
She's
in.
watching Sister Wives,
like
which
I
I
should have,
guess
like,
is a different
a
one.
cue
than
card.
Show.
So
It says that I should
is
do
it
this.
all these Mormon wives that are being un-Mormon-like? Is that the did
I
I
don't know.
describe that well, or is that not?
I've never
That
watched
feels
it. I
like
don't
that's
know.
what it is, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's like they're living lives that are not necessarily to the Mormon culture.
I guess.
I'm like, what Mormon culture basically
I was
says
like,
you can have a reality TV
man,
show?
I don't know.
AJ DeBansa might have had a hell of a recruiting visit if this is what I'm seeing here.
What are you binging these days?
Pluribus, I second that. I watched the 3rd episode yesterday as well. Stay locked in, my boy
I
Mark,
can't
and
wait.
anybody else listening. Or I'll go this as well. I have to start season 2 of Landman, Paramount Plus. Hearing some good things about that. I believe one of our listeners, Aaron from Minnesota, is big on Landman. So I will catch up with you, Aaron, very soon.
I am this close to pulling the trigger on subscribing to Paramount just so I can watch Landman because it looks. I will go down the social media rabbit hole and watch as many clips as I can. It looks fantastic.
It is good.
It
Great
looks
show.
fantastic. I have not done a whole lot the last week and a half for binging anything, Mark. I've been kind of on hold, so I still got to catch up with the last 2 episodes of the last season of The Diplomat. But
Okay.
I think I'm ready to pull the trigger on Paramount so I can get Landman. So that's it.
There you go.
All right. Let's check it down very quickly because we got Thad Matta coming up in about 6 minutes here. Here's what you need to know. NBA last night. Pacers break an 8-game losing streak. They come up with a 127-118 victory over the Charlotte Hornets. Benedict Mathurin, 24 points, 12 rebounds. Pascal Siakam had 22 points. Jay Huff had 20 points. And very quickly, James, clearly his best game as a Pacer, right?
Yeah, dunk of the year candidate so far for the Pacers.
All right. Basketball last night in the college ranks. Notre Dame, 86. Bellarmine, 79. Indiana State, a winner over Louisiana Tech, 60-51. Tonight, Indiana will host Lindenwood at 6 p.m. Purdue plays in the Bahamas against Memphis. That one also tips off at 6 o'clock. Purdue, once again, the number 1 ranked team in the country. NFL tonight, Buffalo plays at Houston to start off Week 12. Bills are 7-3. Texans in the AFC South are 5-5. And, of course, the Colts play the Chiefs Sunday afternoon at 1 at Arrowhead. Health situation, Kevin Bowen, very quickly.
Yeah, Javarius Ward, full participant at practice yesterday, so a great sign for the veteran corner getting back to action here coming up on Sunday. And honestly, a pretty healthy 53-man roster coming back from the bye week. Taekwon Lewis still out.
Unveiled yesterday, the Borg Warner Trophy now has Alex Pilow's mug etched on the side of it. So that was unveiled yesterday as well. Anything else you want to throw in quickly before we go to break?
I got nothing.
All right, James, anything?
That's it.
All right. Thad Matta, Butler Bulldogs, coming up next, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. I did not know James Boyd's a closet Fleetwood Mac fan. I like it.
I honestly think that there are certain songs, no matter who the artist is, that everyone in the human race has to like. It's like hearing Billie Jean from Michael Jackson and being like, that's not a good song. Well, you're not a human. Simple as that.
Yeah. I'm a big Fleetwood Mac fan, so it's always good to hear that
Yes.
stuff right there. But you're right. There are some songs you just can't help but be happy when they come on, man.
They expand generations, continents, doesn't matter.
I thought it was interesting, though, that he immediately went to being happy with breaking up with a girl. Kevin, did you notice that?
Yeah, I'm not going to touch that one.
Hey, we'll get to Coach. I'll save my dating advice for other episodes of the show.
We do have the coach here. It is our weekly chat with the head coach for Butler basketball, Thad Matta, joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline right now. We always like having him around. And, Coach, we were just talking about, binging TV or anything like that. Do you have time to watch anything other than film once the basketball season starts?
You know what? It's funny you asked that. I'm not a TV guy, but now I'm into westerns.
Oh.
Like old time. There's a station called Grit TV,
Yeah.
and at night I watch westerns every night, like into the early morning. It's just I don't know what it is. I think when I was a little kid, I used to watch them with my dad. I think it kind of reminds me of that. And I mean, some of the greatest lines in movies are from like westerns.
I like that.
You waking up at 2 a.m. and John Wayne staring back at you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's the oddest thing. I've been doing it now for probably 3 months. And,
I like it. It's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Coach
So,
Matta brought to us every week here by Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus, in business since the year before Hinkle Fieldhouse opened in 1927. Lazy Boy, Indiana-made Smith Brothers Furniture, Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic Mattresses, free delivery to the entire Indianapolis metro area. Worth the drive to Columbus, thompsonfurniture.net. Coach, you are, like I said, probably spending a lot of time on film right now. I want to know what you see when you're watching Finley Bizjack, because he is really starting to mature into a tough frontline player in not just the Big East, but college basketball.
No, I think Finn is playing at a very, very high level. And I think one of the things, you look at great players, and great players always have energy. And Finley plays with an inordinate amount of energy. He practices that way. He plays that way. And he's a kid that, when I say he's a gym rat and, all that stuff that people say, I mean, the kid lives in the gym. Every night he's back in Hinkle getting shots up. And I think the other thing that's happened for Finley is he started to understand the game, and he's thinking the game more. He's slowing down. He's reading situations better. And I just very, very happy with the way he's playing right now.
Butler's at the Greenbrier. They've got a couple big ones here for that resume coming up tomorrow afternoon with South Carolina, and then again on Sunday here. Coach, let's go back to the SMU game. And it seemed like, obviously offensively, you guys put up a big-time number and made quite the rally there late in that game and had an opportunity to even steal that one on the road. What did you like? What did you not like about your performance against SMU?
Well, I think I thought we did a great job of competing, and I'm not faulting that we didn't play hard. What got in that game was the turnovers offensively that led to easy baskets for them. And, our transition defense a couple times was not as sharp, but it's hard to have good transition defense when they're on a breakout. And I thought that was something, rebounding down the stretch was not as good. I mean, I think we're a really good rebounding team, but we gave them a couple of easy ones off of the rebounds. But there were some good positives, but just, it's one that, I'd like to have that game back if I could. But, and as I told the guys after the game, if we don't learn from this, there will be a travesty. And we've had a good week of practice leading into tomorrow's game. So hopefully we'll be a better basketball team.
Coach, you've been doing this a long time, and you talk about, not having losses linger or certain outcomes. How do you know, or do you just have to wait until the next game to truly understand your team's mental makeup? I get it's still pretty early in the year.
Well, you do, and especially nowadays with how many new players you have every year and that sort of thing. And I've told the guys, hey, I'm going to learn a lot about you here when we take the floor on Friday, because we got knocked down, and do we respond? And hey, we're playing a really, really good South Carolina team, so we got to have ourselves ready to go.
And then to follow up to that on a different, I guess a little more positive note, Finley Bizjack got a little homecoming of sorts going down to the SMU campus. Grew up in Trophy Club, Texas, which I think is like something out of like a Friday Night Lights movie or something like that. Trophy Club, Texas doesn't even sound like a real place. But how did he enjoy that environment and just soak that up? Because, this kid puts a lot into basketball and doesn't always get a chance to see, the hometown roots and things like that.
Yeah, I think it was a great experience for him. Funny thing is, his brother had a football game, plays college football as a quarterback, and his mom couldn't make it to the game, but I think he still had like 30 family and friends there, but I think, he was, as he told me yesterday, it's so good to be home. He says, Coach, this is a business trip. I'll come back this summer and do all that stuff. So kind of tells you where his mind was.
Gotta love that. I'm just curious, now that we're a couple of weeks in, is this team starting to get its identity? Is it starting to kind of feel like you know who this team is and what they do yet?
Boy, I think so, but I don't know. There's so many things that have to continue to develop, and we got to continue to play games and see how we grow, and we got to get guys more consistent. Got to get them, where we know exactly what we're going to get every time we take the floor.
Okay, coming up at South Carolina tomorrow afternoon at the Greenbrier, then Virginia on Sunday for Thad Matta's bunch as they try to build this non-conference resume. Coach, I'm not going to lie, I have not really had the West Virginia Greenbrier Resort on the bucket list, but I've always been intrigued of like, wow, NFL teams have gone here for training camps. The PJ Tours had events here, and now we get, one of these non-conference tournaments. What is the resort like the Greenbrier like this time of year?
You know what? Nice, old. You guys ever see the movie The Shining?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh boy, now you have me nervous.
I think it may have been filmed here.
Really?
It's kind of. I think it was in Oregon, but it's kind of got that feel to it. But beautiful place, beautiful resort, and I haven't seen a whole lot of it yet. We got in yesterday afternoon, and we actually met as a staff for a few hours and had film last night with the team. So maybe if I find some time, I'll get out and get around. But it's the wallpaper here is very, very unique. If you guys are into that sort of stuff.
Interesting.
Inflict some shining on your opponents here coming up tomorrow afternoon.
Here's that.
Right? There you go.
Exactly.
I like that. Coach, always good to talk to you. We'll probably take a week off for Thanksgiving next week, but we'll be watching with great curiosity and hope as you play these two teams this weekend. So good luck with that.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Before I let you go, though, all-time favorite Western Star is?
Clint Eastwood.
All right. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's mine, too, by the way.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you guys.
You bet. Two quick things. I grew up about an hour from where The Shining was shot. It was at a hotel in Estes Park, Colorado.
Really?
Yeah, which is one of my favorite. If I could get a house in Estes Park, I'd die a happy man. It's a beautiful place. But no, looking forward to see what Butler, because you got to get the sense from him too. So many new players, and they've only been going for a few games now. I always like to see when coaches feel like they got a handle on their team. It sounds like he's still kind of figuring that out a little bit.
Well, and it's critical that, again, they build the non-conference resume. The Big East, I think UConn is legit, but then where are you looking after that? Again, we mentioned Marquette earlier. It doesn't sound like it's maybe the same old Marquette. Creighton maybe isn't the same sort of Creighton team, and I really feel like the Big East hasn't gotten a ton of NCAA tournament respect in recent years, so it's vital for Butler. Games away from home, they'll get I think it's Northwestern they get at the Indy Classic here in a few weeks. I think they have Boise State in their own building coming up, but that was, an opportunity at SMU that would have looked, I think, really nice getting a true road win. So South Carolina and Virginia, it's a couple power teams. We'll see how they play coming up tomorrow afternoon and Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of watch this team find themselves and grow again. And we're seeing it at Indiana, too. It's just – and this is the way it's going to be for a lot of college basketball teams moving forward, James, is how many new guys can you bring in every year, and how quickly can they get together and be a team?
That is the new world that we are living in.
Man, that is crazy stuff. By the way, one drawback to Estes Park, Colorado, before we break, there is a traffic problem, Mark, every so often in the little tiny mountain town of Estes Park. There's a big traffic problem.
Roundabouts?
No, there's a big herd of elk. And sometimes they just park themselves in the middle of the road, and that's that.
They just left the dispensary. They're trying to find some munchies.
It's always that with you. It's always that.
Bro,
Having
where'd
a
you
great
put that
time,
fresh,
yeah, I was
fresh
about to
lettuce
say.
at?
All right, we're going to talk
Elevated elk.
about our nights ahead and what we've got planned on our sports schedule for this evening as we continue next. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. How was your bye week, James? I never got a chance to talk to you. How was your bye week from the Colts?
It was smooth. Went home, saw the family. My mom dragged me to Hobby Lobby. I wore my candy striped pants with her. She hated them. She told me it looked like a popcorn box, a Christmas ornament, and other things I can't repeat on the air.
Did you explain the significance of those things to her?
I told her, your son is a Hoosier now. You got to accept that this is what I'm doing. I've built a life here in Indiana.
Says
you gotta
the man
accept that.
wearing the Illinois hoodie right now.
I know. Not a good time to be standing on the soapbox.
Didn't they lose last night?
They did. And you know what's crazy?
It's a good win for Purdue that Alabama beat them.
Didn't even watch that game. I didn't know they were on. So someone mentioned that in the YouTube chat, like, how are you going to wear that after they lost? And I was like, oh, they played? Sorry. I'll lock back in when we get closer to tournament time.
Interesting.
There's too much to watch. I got to watch Purdue. I got to watch IU. I got to watch Indiana.
Welcome to the lifestyle.
I know.
Tough job. Somebody's got to do it, right?
I know, but that means Illinois, you're on the chopping block, brother. I'm sorry. I still owe you some money anyways. I halfway don't like my school. Matter of fact, I wish I could trade this in to get some money off of them student loans.
And we'll have a big bake sale for you later on. How about that?
Hey, I know you got some money out there in Carmel, people.
Yeah.
Those listening, help your boy out.
Mark Dykton, I know every week this time we hear from Jason Hammer, but he is taking some PTO, and then, of course, next week it'll be Thanksgiving, so we won't have the show that day. So he has, though, given us his picks for the week, correct?
He has given me plays for Thursday Night Football as well as some Colts-Chiefs plays as well. So we'll start tonight. We've got Bills at Texans. He says Texans +6, which you'd have to tease that up now because it's down to 5.5. But he says Texans +6, catching 6 points on a short week at home. Plus, the Texans have a better defense. I like home dogs with better defense on short weeks. And even though it's Davis Mills, Bills' defense isn't very good. I'll take the points. And we cross our fingers the Texans can stick around. And then as far as prop bets is concerned, he said Davis Mills over a half interception, and then Josh Allen as an anytime rushing touchdown.
Oh, man, that seems like a lot of you're going against each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want the Texans to cover. You need Davis Mills to throw a pick, and you also want Josh Allen to score a rushing touchdown.
Yes.
And if you're a Colts fan, you're going to want the Texans to cover by, 3, right? Because you still want the Texans to lose. So.
Yeah. And then locally, when you circle the wagons back to Chiefs and Colts on Sunday, buckle up, Colts fans. He's got Chiefs -3.5. He says, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes at home after 2 straight losses. I'll take it. All the talking heads in ESPN saying they didn't know why the Colts were a dog in this one. Seemingly everyone's given up on Kansas City. Great time to buy low on the Chiefs right now. This is a great get-right spot for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs at home. I'll take the cover. And then prop bets for Sunday's game. He said Daniel Jones over 31.5 attempts. And his logic is if you think the Colts are going to lose, this is the prop bet because the Colts will have to throw late. And if you think the Colts are going to win, take the under on this.
Here's what scares me about this game. And it's not even logical, but the fact that Mahomes has never beaten the Colts, the fact that they've lost 2 games in a row, you just feel like there's going to be a return to the mean for the Chiefs at some point, don't you?
Well, yeah, and I guess getting into a little bit more of I think maybe some specific reasons why Kansas City at 5-5 is not as bad as maybe the record indicates. I mean, you look at it, and all of their losses are 1 possession. They've been very impressive in their wins, offensively and defensively. I think they're top 10 in both points, offensively and defensively. You don't see many teams doing that, let alone teams that are 5-5. So at some point, yeah, Jeff, I guess there is a regression to the mean there. Boy, Jason Hammer doesn't care about your fan heart. He wants to win money this weekend. That's all he's thinking about.
Yeah.
Buy an extra turkey, I guess, next week.
I was going to say, he knows it's holiday season. Black Friday doesn't buy itself.
One other thing, too, James, if I'm not mistaken, the Chiefs have been wildly different home and road this year, too, have they not?
I would have to look into that. You probably know more about it than me, but the numbers that I have looked at, they're top 10 in so many different categories. They still have one of the best scoring defenses in the league as well. I believe the last time I checked, they were tied for the fewest passing touchdowns allowed in the league. So they're formidable in a number of ways. And it's just, when it comes down to it, last year, they won every single 1-score game. I think they had a 17-game streak of 1-score games that they had won, which is insane for the NFL. And this year, all 5 of their losses are by 1 score or less. So it's flipped the other way.
Yeah, so far they lost at Los Angeles in week 1. They did beat the Giants on the road. They did lose to Jacksonville on the road. They, in week 8, beat the Commanders. That was at home. They lost at Buffalo. And then, of course, they just lost at Denver. So, yeah, they've both basically been a road home team this year.
Week from today, the Thanksgiving slate, pretty good this year. Packers, Lions, Chiefs, Cowboys. Could it be the Joe Burrow return at night? Suck. Bengals, Ravens. And then, Mark, I forgot your Bears are our Amazon game on Friday. Black Friday, Bears, Eagles. That's a pretty good Thanksgiving plus Black Friday slate.
That is a good one. Those are solid.
Chiefs at Cowboys. That's a unique one there. I swear every year is Cowboys Giants at 4:30.
It's usually when the tryptophan kicks in and I start trying to nap.
By the way, as you start to set your fantasy lineups for this week, remember 4 more teams on a bye. The Broncos, Chargers, Dolphins, and Commanders all off this week. So make sure as you go in on Thursday before the games start to set your lineups, you keep that in mind. What's on your schedule tonight, James Boyd? What do you got planned?
A lot of college basketball, right? So excited
6 o'clock
to see
tip times,
Yeah.
Purdue and
Purdue
Indiana.
and IU.
early
I'll
tonight.
be 2 screening things.
Earlier than usual.
Yeah, so that's what you've got, and trying to avoid the private lives or secret lives of sister wives. Is that what you're going to be up to?
Kevin pretends he doesn't like it. I'm sure he does.
He's going to tell us.
it's
2 weeks from now, he'll tell us all about
It's
it.
nice eye candy. It just seems like a lot of drama.
Well, that's why they have the TV show.
I feel like people who have
right?
no drama in their lives always watch the drama shows.
I mean, my drama is like, did I really just put on another shirt and get spit up on again?
Yeah.
Kevin's figuring out how to wash shoes, and he's also watching Mormon Wives.
Like I said, I'll be ready to tag in a couple years.
Have you suffered any more massive blowouts very quickly?
I had one last night,
Oh,
about
boy.
2:45.
All right.
She's eating good.
Whatever you're up to tonight, enjoy it. JMV is going to be out at a terrific place that I've not been to, the Free Spirit, just behind Castleton Square from